Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, and everybody else in between, I'm Ashton Gene Lewis. This is the one, the only Broke Boy Sports Podcast. Martin Pape in the building.
How's it going, Ashton? Thursday episode of the Broke Boy Sports Podcast. Shout out to everybody that tuned in on Tuesday. We got to give a quick shout out. We got another follow. We're getting followers while we're offline on the Twitch on twitch.tv/ Broke Boy Sports plural IT. I'm gonna guess is how you say the our latest follower. But shout out to them. We're on our road to 50 followers on twitch.tv. So if you're listening to this, you haven't followed us yet, go on over there, give us a little follow. We're on the path to affiliate, as the Twitch community calls it, Ashton. Today's episode, Hall of Fame baseball person. One of the funnier names that Ashton has come up with for the podcast so far.
I'd like to thank the one, the only, legendary 73-year-old Tony La Russa, who got pulled over for being wasted. Ladies and gentlemen, he
The
was
new
a
coach of the
point.
Chicago White Sox. Don't forget.
Yeah, we can talk about that. By the way, if you haven't heard, like if you're a baseball person, you already know what everybody's been saying basically the same thing, right? It's Tony La Russa super old. Tony La Russa also might be super racist to go along with it because he is in heavy support of cops basically being able to pull over people and ask them for their citizenship papers, which is weird because nobody like who carries around proof that they're an American citizen.
I
And I
got a
say that
copy of
as
my green card in my wallet, but that's about it.
I was gonna say me, ignorant person born in Houston, Texas, has only left the country twice in his entire life, assuming that people don't carry around proof of their citizenship. But it was clearly a law that he supported that was very directed at a certain group of people, and I think we all know exactly who I'm talking about. But nonetheless, Tony La Russa now in charge of some of the more colorful people in all of Major League Baseball, and I mean skin color and the way that they play. And he's already starting off
Yeah.
on a big emphasis. Like if his players have learned anything about him, is that he's here for a good time, not a long time, ladies and gentlemen. At 73 years old, so maybe that's how he reaches the kids. Maybe that's how he reaches the youngsters.
you know, it's interesting. Not an interesting take, but like when you get pulled over, was he celebrating being named the head coach when he said, "I'm a
No,
Hall of
this was
Fame
four
baseball
days
person"?
before. This
Oh,
was
it's
four
before.
days
Oh,
before
so
he
he didn't even
signed.
know yet. So he was. Do you not know who I am? Do you know who I am? I'm the
Do
Juggernaut,
you know?
bitch. But yeah, that's why we're calling
Legendary,
today's
truly
episode
legendary.
the Hall of Fame baseball person because of Tony La Russa. But yeah, Ashton, as anybody who's tuned in right now, watching on YouTube or Twitch.tv sees at the bottom of the screen, Thrive Fantasy is our partner. I'm not going to say in crime, partner in fantasy fun this year. Go ahead and give it a little download on the Google Play and Apple App Store. Code BrokeBoy.
You can join us in our crime attempts to rob Thrive Fantasy of every dime that they have
Hey, I'm
across
trying,
this
man.
daily fantasy. Yeah, no
I'm
doubt.
trying. We got some. It's got some good news as well, Ashton. Thrive Fantasy now has their website up, and a new, improved website for the, going forward. And tonight, you can download the app. Make sure you download the app. But if you're somebody that wants to do it on your computer, go ahead and click over to thrivefantasy.com. You can download it, or not you download. You can sign in, make an account, and also, when you put $20 down and use that code BrokeBoy, you'll get $20 right back. They got a bunch of different little money back things, so you can get in on the action. I'm looking on the internet right now, Ashton. Looks like there's about 4 or 5 different Thursday night football props, as we've got a good one. I'm putting no, you can't see me right now, but good is in parentheses, air quotes right now. Good matchup between the Tennessee Titans and the
Hey man,
Indianapolis Colts.
we'll talk about this a little bit later. I'm actually really excited to see what happens tonight. Because one, I like the Colts defense. I like Darius Leonard a lot. We've mentioned this before. DeForest Buckner, I like him a ton too. I'm also interested to see how that mixes together with the hammer that is Derrick Henry.
Yep. Some of the props, if you're interested in just knowing what you could pick as you hashtag prop up this season and tonight, Ryan Tannehill over under 244 and a half total passing yards. Derrick Henry, if you don't hammer the over on Derrick Henry for 79.5 rushing yards tonight.
Hey, baby, it's
You're
Derrick
not
Henry's
propping right.
natural habitat versus an AFC South team on Thursday Night Football. You know what time it is. You'll be lucky if he gets under 200. So,
Yeah, it's gonna be.
it.
That's an easy money bet right there.
Made for this. Derrick
Yeah.
Henry was made for Thursday Night Football, ladies
Yeah.
and gentlemen. He was made for he was made for those times when your defense is a little banged up and you've got short notice in terms of like trying to pick up on run tells. Because Derrick Henry's one of the big problem is that the speed is the issue for a lot of defensive players. But when the speed's not a problem, the fact that he's significantly stronger than everybody else on the field becomes their next primary issue. So I expect big things. Even if Derrick Henry and the Tennessee Titans lose, I expect him to go out in a blaze of glory, mostly carrying about 3 Indianapolis Colts into the end zone at some point during this game. But we also, this is messed up, but we found like the telltale sign that the Titans are going to win, and we'll talk about that later when we start breaking down NFL games.
A couple of other there's quite a few players you can pick from tonight's game. For looking at the Colts side of things, Phillip Rivers, 267.5 total passing yards. You can bet the over on the under on that one. Jonathan Taylor, this is an interesting one, Ashton. Combined rushing yards and receiving yards, 53.5. So they don't think he's going to be putting up some. So that's like 22. Like if he gets 22 passing and receive, I would hammer the over on that.
I'm gonna hold off. Gonna hold off on the analysis until we get to the NFL stuff.
Okay.
I hate the Colts for many reasons, but there's another thing that's going on that involves Jonathan Taylor that makes me hate them even more.
Okay, well,
go ahead.
That's what we call a tease in the business, folks. But go ahead and check out Broke Boys, or not Broke Boy. You can check out Broke Boy Sports whenever you want. But go ahead and check out the Thrive Fantasy app and their website now that it is all new and improved to get you in on the prop up action. Ashton, it's Thursday, November 12th. And as we do for every Thursday episode, we start with what's poppin'. You've got something you want to talk about. I've got a dumpster fire going on down in Houston that we're going to get to in a second, but I'll let you take the floor and talk about some cancellations that are popping in the world of sports right now.
So, ladies and gentlemen, I get to be the not fun guy today. What's popping in quarantine, Martin? It is very clearly and very obvious what's popping in quarantine because it's what's popping across the world. Cancellations. And here's my explanation for that. Saturday's University of Louisiana Monroe at Arkansas game postponed because of COVID issues at ULM. Game rescheduled for December 12th. Saturday's Alabama at LSU and Texas A&M at Tennessee games have been postponed. A&M at Tennessee rescheduled for December 12th. LSU has already has game on December 12th. So unknown if Bama versus LSU will be played. Saturday's Memphis at Navy game postponed because of COVID issues at Navy. Also rescheduled, Cincinnati at Tulsa has been moved up a day from December 5th to Friday, December 4th. Utah State will not allow fans for Saturday's home game versus Fresno State. Aggies had 5,116 fans for home opener versus San Diego State on October 31st. Arkansas head coach Sam Pittman follow-up test confirmed he was COVID positive, so he won't coach on versus Florida Saturday. Defensive coordinator Barry Odom, who used to be the head coach in Missouri until things went south very quickly. Barry Odom with the Razorbacks interim coach versus Gators. Michigan State basketball coach Tom Izzo has tested positive for COVID-19. Saturday's Auburn at Mississippi State game postponed due to positive tests and subsequent quarantining of individuals with Mississippi State football program. Game has been tentatively rescheduled for December 12th. Saturday's Air Force at Wyoming game canceled because of COVID issues at Air Force.
Yep.
That is less than half of the games that have been postponed this upcoming week.
Yep. College football and college sports in general getting hit really hard right now, Ashton. Depending on who you ask and where you get your information from, this is basically an effect of the Halloween festivities. I mean, you're really going to tell college kids not to celebrate Halloween.
And see, that's another thing, too. We can bring this up. Paul Feinbaum said that SEC officials are growing more frustrated with the way that the players have been behaving. Guess what, motherfuckers? That's on you.
Yeah, they're college kids not getting paid.
Yeah, we're talking. So let me summarize that for you. Actually, let me clarify what Paul Feinbaum said. Paul Feinbaum says rich people in charge of multi-million-dollar universities upset that college kids who are not getting paid for the sport that they play are being college kids, which at a certain point, I've already discussed this and I'll say it again. The frat party is about to destroy college football from the ground up. The other thing I will say is if you're an adult who gets paid millions of dollars to manage children, because that's essentially what a university is, right? Try and put the kids in a position, in the best position to achieve academic excellence. And Martin, you and I can roll our eyes as hard as we. I can roll my
I
eyes
tried my
into the
best
back
not
of
to.
my skull. I can roll my eyes into the back of my skull with that being the general premise. But I will say there are people who are involved with the football team that are also in charge of the school, right? Like the football team and the basketball team too, because we can talk about basketball and how things are not going well as they try and prepare for college basketball. But the thing to take out of this is we got a bunch of people who get paid to manage children that can't manage children.
Yeah.
That's that are making the assumption that they're dealing with logical human beings.
Yeah, these kids are just trying to have fun, man. You know what I'm saying? Like, you go out Halloween. Like, the fact that people are surprised that these kids went out for Halloween, like, you
And the
know,
only people that would and the only people that would be surprised is people who were like long removed from college, right?
hmm
Which is of course the old rich people who are in charge of universities naturally. So
yeah,
and the other thing that goes with it too, like we can sit here and talk. I mentioned Mississippi State. Mike Leach came out and he hinted at that he's about that bullshit of this pandemic is infringing upon our freedoms thing. So you can go look up those comments and determine what you believe on that. I just gave it away what I think about it. I just find it hilarious that people take offense to that precautions and intelligence are things that we're using to prevent the spread of a disease that may not affect you but could affect, kill, or harm somebody else that even if you don't know them, whose life matters. So anyway, just that's all I have for cancellations. Just me reading off Brett McMurphy's Twitter timeline. By the way, all those tweets were consecutive. There were no tweets in between.
yeah. He, he his those fingers, were like he was going a mile a minute
Oh,
putting those ones out.
Britt McMurphy is a busy man. He may be the most. He's my favorite reporter at Stadium.
hmm
Stadium doesn't have like a ton of people, although Shams is at technically at Stadium. Shams works for Stadium and the Athletic, who, by the way, they should have maybe powwowed about like graphic design because they're basically the same thing,
Yeah.
black and gray. Go ahead, Martin.
Well, you mentioned the Athletic, and that's where my what's poppin' starts because there's a meltdown going on with Houston sports. Ashton, you can see I'm wearing a Houston Texans shirt right now. It's only because it's laundry day. There ain't much there ain't much other things, nothing else to in the closet right now. You know what I'm saying? Things are like there's a little bit of a the other day there was a little alarm. Right now there's like a fucking nuclear reactor alarm going off because it's not just one team in Houston right now. It is all three of the biggest teams in Houston sports are not only becoming the laughing stock of the league that they are in, it's the things that are happening. So let's start with Shams over at the Athletic. He puts out a report. There was some mumblings. There was some little talks about almost a week ago that James Harden and Russell Westbrook were not on board with what the Rockets were doing, and neither player really addressed it. And then Shams comes out and releases this report that Russell Westbrook wants out of Houston. He's quoted as saying he's uneasy about the team's accountability and culture and wants to join a team where he can be the floor general, similar to his prior role at the Oklahoma City Thunder. However, James Harden apparently remains committed to the Rockets and is locked in for the upcoming season, despite other reports that he wants out. Or no, the other report, there was the report that he was getting traded to Philadelphia, and Frosty was in the chat to start off the show saying the Texans suck, but him and I were talking. What team in their right mind right now trades for James Harden? Because you know what you're gonna get. You're going to get a lot of points in the regular season, and then when the playoffs come around, playoff James Harden is going to come out, and you're going to get bounced in the first or second round. Maybe you'll get to the conference championship, but seeing an NBA title with James Harden not really in the horizon of any Houston. I mean, it's ridiculous. So that's the first part of my what's poppin'. Then we move over to the Houston Texans, who, for some odd reason that Ash and I are going to actually talk about in worst of the worst, because this decision is so fucking bad that Ashton, who is admittedly Mr. Pro Texans fan of this podcast, I had to ask him. I was like, "Are you okay with me trashing the Texans twice?" And he said, "We have to, because this is fucking ridiculous." The Texans released, let me make sure I get her name right, Palchich, Amy Palchich, who was the PR chief for the Texans. And the moment that news hit, Ashton, it was a fucking PR nightmare. You release your vice president of communications, who led the PR staff, who won the Pete Rozelle Award in 2017 for the best public relations staffs in the NFL, and it was a fucking firestorm. Adam Schefter, I mean, left and right, every single person that's ever had to deal with the
Every woman in sports
Oh yeah,
is
she was the
pissed.
only woman. Yeah, keep going.
Every woman in sports came out in defense of her. Every single insider, every single NFL insider, every single person you can possibly imagine came out, including reporters, and just openly bashed the Texans because they are run by complete, and I mean complete, assholes. Because if what we think is the reason she got fired,
Oh, the cultural. Yeah, let's mention it. The reason is she's not a cultural fit for the Houston Texans.
and we'll talk about what that culture is in worst of the worst,
Yeah.
because it's pretty fucking obvious what it is.
Yeah. Amy is the person.
It's
Yeah.
blatantly obvious.
Oh, it's
Sorry,
100%.
go ahead.
No, I was gonna
I'll
say.
go back to crying in silence.
So Amy, for those of you that don't know, was basically the key orchestrator in everything viral that you saw, from J.J. Watt to Deshaun Watson to basically like there's one thing that has been somewhat good about the Houston Texans these past few years, and I was one of the late ones off the boat. Ashton just got off the boat this past season, off the train, whatever you want to call it. Frosty Nugs and a couple other people, they've been well off of it. Even he could admit the one thing that they had going was that the fact that they had a decent PR and social media, like the fact that they could even trade D Hop and still have people like liking, like it's just
The fact
ridiculous.
that
Like,
everything that's gone on with the team the past couple of years, and the worst thing that people really have to say consistently is that, like, oh man, that was a terrible trade for DeAndre Hopkins. And the other thing that goes on in the internet is, oh, man, Deshaun Watson needs to get away from that team, which, by the way, I never felt more was an accurate statement than when we get to worst of the worst. Because guess what? At some point, this has to come out, and all the pieces line up too fucking well for it to not be this.
yeah.
Also, I'm gonna take this time right now to let you to tell you people that listen to this show, go follow Amy Pollitt on Twitter, AMYPALCIC. Go follow her on Twitter. Um, I legit considered not being a Texans fan anymore and going full Seahawks after I saw this.
Yeah, dude, it's ridiculous. It's
I mean, it's insulting to somebody's entire career, and I'm sure. And the shitty part is, like, they did it during a year where they know everybody's strapped for money. So, like, think about that every time you see somebody getting fucking fired. Like, their chances of getting back into the NFL and getting back to the same position with the same amount of money is highly unlikely in a situation where, like, as well as the NFL is doing, there are people projecting that they're going to lose billions of dollars just off the simple fact that there are not people in the stands this year. So that's going, and guess what? It's not going to affect the players because the players have a union, and that union is vicious. The people who are going to be hurt the most are the people who are out there by themselves, who are trying to fight their way to get into a front office position in the NFL. Like Amy, like we said before, Amy got to the level of VP at a company that we're about to talk about in Worst of the Worst, and you'll find it fucking amazing that she got to the point where she was with the Texans of all the teams in the NFL. So sorry, Martin, I didn't mean to interrupt you.
No, it's not interrupting. She's already lawyered up. That's how bad this is, Ashton. She's already lawyered up. She's already like, I can't remember the name of the lawyer, but he's a Houston area lawyer, and this is just gonna be another fucking. It's just a nightmare. Being like,
the entire city is collapsing around us.
Yeah.
Like, and nobody, every general manager, every head coach in this city, except the Dynamo and the Sabercats, is gone.
Yeah.
In the Dash. I'm sorry.
Well, and if you're in Dynamo fans, they don't even like the current ownership and the direction of the team because they're literally like.
Because they're trying to penny pinch on them.
Yes, exactly.
And they're not doing what they used to do, which is go out there and get like half a Team USA.
Yeah.
And get them to play for the Dynamo. Anyway.
Yeah.
Like
now, Houston sports is a fucking dumpster fire, and I'm not even done talking about what's gone on this week in the Meltdown. So let's transition. We've talked about the Rockets. We talked about the Texans. Now we're gonna talk about the fucking Astros because we're not like we thought we were somewhat past the cheating scandal of 2017. I mean, nope.
Motherfuckers always got to bring up the past.
Nope. Ex Astros GM Jeff Lunau, who
I hope he wins it. By the way, he just wants his money. He just wants the money that he signed for.
Yeah, he is suing the Houston Astros for breach of contract. He's alleging that Jim Crane and MLB Commissioner Rob Manfred negotiated penalties for the sign stealing scandal that enabled the team to paint Lunau as basically the scapegoat. And as you and I know, we're not dumb, Ashton. In some areas we may be dumb, but we're not dumb when it comes to Rob Manfred and the fucking MLB. We know what's like. He didn't punish the Astros for a reason. He didn't push Turner for a reason.
If there was one group of people that you were gonna go out of your way to protect when it comes down to, in terms of like preventing a cheating scandal from going on, because at the end of the day, like, it's so easy for me to walk in there and be like, well, like, what are you supposed to do when your boss tells you that you have to do this? Like, what are you supposed to do when everybody that's higher up on you than the team, and you can sit here and talk about how players have more power because of the money that they make, but you and I know, like, we know athletes don't have the power because any given day they can just like in the NFL, the greatest ability that the NFL has, the greatest ability and the greatest leverage that NFL teams ever have over any player, and this goes for Major League Baseball too, is when they get cut, they can cut them at any point.
Yeah,
they could cut you in the middle of a game if they want to. They technically can. And in the space of a game, and that ability to get rid of you and have the team have to take no liability for getting rid of you is a massive leverage piece to get people to do what you want them to do, right? And that's a huge part of this, where you can just be like, the players are not at fault. It's the leadership above them, knowing that the leadership doesn't have that much of an impact on how great the players that are going to play. Because at the end of the day, for whatever y'all have to say about the trash cans and shit like that, it doesn't take away the elite level defense that they played. It doesn't take away. Also, like, people like to talk about the trash cans, but also don't like talk about how the Astros had like the most players left on base that entire season, and they have for like the past 3 years. They're like top 5 in that category for the past like 3 years combined. But they have that going on, plus like the players are not in control of other players, right? Like, if one player decides to cheat and the other one doesn't, like, how are you going to hold one player accountable and not the other one? It's the leadership, because that's how life works, right? Like, the leaders get blamed when their workers or their employees don't do well. So that's what they set it up for. And luckily for them, a general manager don't hit a single goddamn home run in the course of a season.
Yeah, and the fact is, like, Manfred knows that if he put it on Crane, the owner, it would have been even worse. That he would have had to sell the team and this and that, and I mean,
and then on top of that, like, they have to also anticipate that other shit is going to come out about other teams doing this, because if they come out here with a harsh punishment on the Astros, then it incentivizes other teams to snitch when they find out that other teams have been cheating, right? Like, they find out some information, because that's what happened, right? Like, it came down to Mike Fiers coming out after he left the Astros, after he had benefited from everything that the Astros were doing as an organization. And really, I mean, like, I'm not here to talk about how, like, Mike Fiers doesn't have any skill, because he very clearly does. The dude has great ability, but to try and pretend that he's like holier than now after he comes out after he's left the team is a little tough. It's a tough sell. That's the thing to point out there. Like him punishing the owners basically sets a precedent that would put a target on every owner in Major League Baseball's back. And Rob Manfred is not in charge of like Major League Baseball. He is a convoy for the owners upon controlling the league.
Yep. Also, in the LA Times report, Lunau's lawsuit uses quotation marks around the word investigation, calls it a negotiated resolution between Crane and Manfred, and it's just to be a Houston fan right now, it's fucking ridiculous, man. And the people that are in charge for the teams that we support, it's hard. They make it so fucking hard to support, and it's a fucking joke, man. But that's what's popping, Ashton. Cancellations in college football and the H-Town meltdown, playing on the course the H-Town hold it down.
We should have called that. We should have called this episode H-Town meltdown.
Yeah, because we're gonna be talking about the Texans here in a minute when we get to worst of the worst. But Ashton, let's lighten up some people's days. Let's talk about some good news right now. This is the best of the best. We each got one to talk about. I'll start. We mentioned it on Tuesday's episode. The Buffalo Bills. Unfortunately, Josh Allen's grandma passed away last week. And
R.I.P. to Grandmama Allen. May she rest in peace.
And the Bills fans decided to donate over $200,000. I accidentally clicked off the link. I was gonna go and see exactly what the money amount is right now, but they donated over $200,000 to Buffalo Children's Hospital in honor of Josh Allen's late grandma. It's one of those the Buffalo Bills fans. They're known for jumping through tables. They will literally jump through hoops to donate to people that make like others like help
because remember they did the same thing when the Bengals
Andy Dalton
when Andy Dalton, they donated, I think it was like $150,000 to Andy Dalton's organization when he beat the Ravens to give the Bengals their first playoff berth in 20 years, back when Tyrod Taylor was still their quarterback and everything like that, and they lost that game. I think that was the one they lost like some crazy low score to like 7-9 or something like that to the Seahawks. But
they still helped the Bills get in, and that's why they donated to it. Let's see. I'm trying to...
Yeah. They also came up with like a customized button for a donation amount, and it was 17, which is Josh Allen's number, and they put like the Buffalo Bills colors on it, so that was pretty cool. And it's just, a lot of horrible things. Like we talk about this all the time. This show builds itself on talking about the best and the worst that sports has to offer, and that money is going to go a long way to helping save somebody's life. And goddamn, if Josh Allen never plays another snap of football, he can take great pride in the fact that he's inspired people to do something like that, and especially in the wake of a tragedy like him losing his grandmother, because so many people are so positively impacted by their grandparents if they have them in their life. And that's a bummer, man. But yeah, best of the best. Shout out to Josh Allen.
We're at
triple threat quarterback out here saving lives, running and passing the ball.
It's I'm looking at it right now. The donations are over 400,000 now.
Oh my God!
20,111 people have donated. So shout out to everybody that's doing that. It's pretty cool that it's the $17 to match his jersey number. It's just really cool. And again, like we mentioned with the Dalton and things like that, the Buffalo Bills fans continue to step up, and
Bills Mafia, baby.
You'll love to see
Mob ties.
And I'm actually seeing it was actually just a person on Reddit, like the Bills Reddit. The guy or woman, whoever it was, just posted calling all Bills Mafia in honor of her. The Bills Reddit is suggesting we donate $17. So yeah, it was just a random post on Reddit, and now it is over $400,000. So shout out to them. That's best for me.
As the season of giving begins, that was really great. Jared Allen, a lot of you guys haven't heard that name in a long time. Minnesota Vikings legendary defensive end. I think he's in the Ring of Honor in Minnesota. If not, he will be. He is the ultimate cowboy, and he shows it, his iconic sack celebration, which of course is the hog tie motion, where he wraps it. It looks like he's doing the cooking motion, but it's definitely a hog tie motion from all of his days. I think he's from Wyoming, or is it Montana? Anyway, Jared Allen has been building homes for warriors who have, and that's former military vets, and this came out on Veterans Day, of course, to probably drum up some support and some generous donations as well. He is building homes for military vets that are accessible for their handicaps that they obtained while serving this country and protecting everything that it stands for. And I find that, of course, 110,000% admirable, and doing something kind for the people who have, in a lot of cases, made the ultimate sacrifice and being and willing to risk their life and limb to protect our ability to record this fucking podcast, Martin, and our people's ability to walk free in this country. Shout out to Jared Allen. Keep it short and simple on that one. We move on back to the bad news. Back to the bad news here. We mentioned that the Texans fired their vice president of public relations. Sorry, vice president of communications, Amy Pollock. She went out there and she tweeted thank you to everybody basically who came out and supported her, because she's the only woman in the NFL that was in her position. And somebody brought up a really interesting point. Amy Pollock has been, after what happened with the election where Joe Biden and Kamala Harris were victorious, Amy Pollock was very open and celebratory about it on Twitter. She retweeted like a lot of Donald Trump jokes, which, by the way, at this point they're just writing themselves. I saw one today where he's requesting an audit of Wisconsin, and they've already audited the votes, and he lost 200 votes.
So I went back and looked, Ashton. It's on November 7th. She retweeted somebody and that was talking about Kamala Harris. Hopefully I said that right. I get it right and then I get it wrong.
She retweeted a video.
Well, no, I was going to get to that. I'm going in chronological order. She retweeted that the first woman and first black person and first Asian American to be vice president-elect. She said, "A historic day. To every little girl out there, you can be anything you dream of." Nothing controversial about that, right? Like, I mean.
Then she posted Reese Witherspoon's caption on Instagram.
She said,
which of course is positive in terms of like.
Yeah. What is it? Shattering the glass ceiling.
Like, and this is of course. Yeah, and of course, like the thing we're talking about here, once again, we're talking about a woman who has done something that no woman has done in the NFL. So like she is a trailblazer in herself. She also posted about J.J. Watt getting his 100th sack, which Martin probably doesn't give a fuck about.
Yeah. Cool.
And then she posted about Deshaun Watson and another J.J. Watt thing because of the 100 sacks. She posted the video. Yeah.
Then we've got what is this one? No matter how talking about black people and black women, especially in the NFL, it says love will always conquer hate. Okay, nothing controversial about that, unless so. The tweet that people think is what got her fired. Rex Chapman, if you guys don't know who that is, he's kind of become more and more popular over, I'd say, like the past year or two on Twitter. I think he's actually a former athlete.
So Rex Chapman is former Kentucky Wildcat back in the day when they were just becoming the powerhouse that they are now. He made it to the NBA, and he is very similar. He's
very
actually
vocal.
JJ Redick. Yeah, JJ Redick has a podcast on not the Old Man and the Three, his one that he had before, which I forgot. The one that's on the Ringer. Go check it out. He talks to Rex Chapman and about his life because Rex has gone through some shit. Rex was a superstar. Like at one point, people said that he was the most recognizable athlete in America because of how good he was when he was in Kentucky. He made it to the NBA, didn't pan out. What he did get from the NBA, along with a bunch of money as well, because he became a millionaire. He's a basketball player. What he also picked up is an opioid addiction. So that is something that ruined Rex's life. He got arrested. I think it was like 15 years ago for possession, and he got into rehab, and it took him umpteenth amount of times, but he's finally in a better place. He's a person who is every single day. If there's anything else that you wish upon Rex Chapman, is that he continues to fight off the demons that haunt him, that drove him down that path. He is started off as a dude who used to just post like crazy videos of people getting hurt in like very brutal ways, and also just like really funny, heartwarming videos. His famous iconic message is of course dogs, bruh.
Yeah.
Bruh, we don't deserve dogs, and it's just dogs doing very kind things to human beings that you know warms your heart. Recently, because of the rise of a lot of hate in America, which you can directly correlate to the rise of another person, but we're not going to talk about that. He's posted like very anti-Trump videos. He's posted videos of Trump supporters all over the country wilding the fuck out. Like he posted a video yesterday of what looks to be a man who's in his 40s walking up to a teenager and threatening to beat the fuck out of them, saying that he was going to remove her head multiple times. She went to go. She was like, he's threatening me. He's threatening me. She was clowning him like hardcore. He was like, touch me. Just touch me and see what the fuck happens. Like he wants the 19-year-old girl that he's yelling at to touch him so that he can beat the fuck out of her. And she walks behind his car because he's got like 5 Trump flags on it to record his license plate. He backs up at like 20 miles an hour trying to hit her with his truck, and then spits at her and drives off. That's yeah.
So on November 8th, he posted a video of somebody else's TikTok.
Carly, so it's Carly Aquino, who is from, well, first of all, she's New York as fuck. So she is from Girl Code. Some of you guys actually recognize her. She used to have she started the red hair craze in America. She was on Girl Code on MTV, and she had just like fire red, like Phoenix red hair, and a lot of people thought it was popular, and they started doing it. Sorry.
So yeah, she posted a video, basically just saying like, look at what the Trump administration on, was it this election day or the day after election day, held a press conference.
Yeah, they tweeted out they're gonna have a press conference at the Four Seasons.
But somebody booked it at the wrong Four Seasons, and it's
that's what happened.
So it was a Four Seasons like
landscaping company.
Yeah. Shop. So if you haven't seen the video or like the press conference, go look at it. Make your own judgment. I personally think no matter what side of the aisle you fall on politically, it's funny. It's funny. Shit. It's funny really that it happened. Like it's just funny that they messed up like that. So she's literally just like, guys, look at this, and laughs. And Amy retweets it.
She actually doesn't even say it. She actually doesn't even say what happened. She said she laughed. That's what the funny part was. If you listen to the video, she's laughing so hard she actually doesn't even say it because everybody who's watching the TikTok already knows what the joke is supposed to be, and she's just laughing her ass off at the video. But yeah, that happened for Rex Strutman's Twitter account. Amy retweeted it. Actually, she quote tweeted it, right?
Yeah, she quote tweeted it and said, "Same girl, same," with laughing emojis. Mary Beth King and I have so many questions.
Yes.
That is apparently what people think is the tweet that ended up getting her fired. Which apparently Amy is not a cultural fit, Ashton.
So let me tie this together. Cal McNair is currently the owner of the Houston Texans because of the passing of his father, Bob McNair. If you know anything about Bob McNair, probably the most iconic thing that most of you remember, despite, he's been very philanthropic and donated a ton of money to a lot of different organizations and all kinds of things. And of course, he brought the Texans to Houston. He fought and clawed his way to get a group of people together to get them to Houston. The other thing that you may know him for is a famous phrase that he said, not letting the inmates run the asylum. There's another instance where I believe it was Andre Johnson describes Bob McNair coming to practice and, huddling everybody up after Barack Obama won his first term as president and saying, yeah, guys, I know we didn't get the result that we wanted, to a group of black guys who play in the NFL. I know we didn't get the results that we wanted, but we're going to power through this. We're going to make it through. Clearly not understanding the audience that he was talking to, a group of black men who had never seen a black man take the office of president. And Bob McNair went down on the practice field and said that to a bunch of the Houston Texans. And that's actually one of the reasons that Dwayne Brown ended up getting traded, because he was not a fan of that mentality. But yeah, it all ties together that, especially considering like if you're part of the McNair family, you are filthy stinking rich, and you can draw your conclusions about one group of people who were trying to raise taxes and one group of people who were trying to reduce the amount of taxes on the wealthy and draw where your political leanings might go. You can also probably look up like who Cal McNair donated money to, like election
Yeah,
wise.
if we want
And
to
it,
talk about the
I mean,
culture,
we already know. We already know what it is. Like we,
yeah, you know,
but Martin, like
no, the
I
best
just
part is the Jack Easterby. We haven't even mentioned his name yet.
Jack Easterby. Go ahead, Martin. Go ahead. Go ahead.
So Jack Easterby is
The interim
what's
general
his
manager.
official title with the Texans?
He's the
Uh,
interim general manager of the Houston Texans right now. He's the president, but he's the interim general manager right now. So he's basically saying that he's not going to do anything,
well,
like trade wise or moving wise.
oh no, he's the Texans executive VP of football operations. That's his
Wow, what a bullshit ass title.
that's his
Okay.
actual title, but he's also now the acting um, general manager. So since Mr. Bald-headed fuck has arrived in Houston,
All right, Martin. We don't need to be
no, no,
mean.
no, no, no. Have you seen this dude? He is a
Yeah,
bald-headed
I have.
fuck.
Go ahead, Martin. I'll let you
Um,
finish. Go
u- as far as I can see in the research that I have done, uber conservative. He is the former Patriots chaplain.
Yes.
He is a pastor. He's literally a pastor. Um, uh, all I will say is from what the research that I have done, very conservative. Um,
Just say it, Martin. Just say it. Like
well,
I feel like
he-
I feel like people know what we're hinting at. Dude, he's probably like MAGA as fuck. Like
maybe.
he's probably
Well, here's the thing. I wasn't going that direction. I was going with the direction of he don't like women.
oh, okay.
Because
Well,
this is from the Yahoo Sports story on the fucking dumpster fire that is the Houston Texans right now. It literally just like goes in a timeline of what this dude has done since he got picked up from Houston. Not only did he run Brian Gain out of town after just 17 months, and then tried to hire Casiro or whatever the fuck that guy, Nick Casiro, the dude that
Casario, yeah, Nick
Nick
Casario,
Casario from the Patriots, because
who is what people believe to be the faux general manager of the New England Patriots.
yeah, the director of player personnel tried to get him. That didn't happen because right didn't the Patriots like try and say it was fucking like the conspiracy or like they were poaching him or whatever. So then they give it to O'Brien.
Yeah, so they basically utilized the rule that he's going from one general manager spot to another, so they
Yeah,
don't have to let him even interview with the Houston Texans.
yeah. So Easterby has now. I mean, we can disagree on the Bill O'Brien stuff, but he was the person that basically decided to tell Cal McNair like, all right, it's fucking time to go. So now he's the only person left from this whole entire clusterfuck. But this is what I wanted to get back from the Yahoo Sports. In a note once in a note to a coach, Easterby quoted Teddy Roosevelt's speech about being the man in the arena
Oh
who is
yeah.
daring to be great, and signed it, aiming to be the man in the arena, Jack. Secondly,
By the way, side note, man in the arena is a phrase that LeBron James writes on his sneakers every single game because he looks up to that speech about it's basically a speech about like who wants to be the man. Like who
but
want
can be
like
taken
everybody
two
wants to be the
totally
man.
different ways, Ashton.
Exactly. Who wants to be the man when it's time to be the man is that basically the general phrase of what it's about. Go ahead, Martin. Sorry.
Oh, next, the next part of this awesome story on Yahoo Sports. So Easterby is apparently a type A personality. He was asked to be the officiant for former NFL quarterback at the wedding of former NFL quarterback Brady Quinn. So Easterby wrestled the schedule away from the wedding planner, whose sole fucking job it is to plan a wedding, and apparently streamlined the process to make it easier. Oh, dude, Easterby basically has a where did it go? People either really love Easterby or really fucking hate him, apparently. Um, and yeah, this guy is a fucking joke. He is, from all accounts that I can find, uber conservative. Uber men should be in the room, not women. And now he's just steamrolling through the Houston Texans organization and making sure that they are a complete fucking dumpster fire.
Yeah, Martin. So maybe you turn your attention away from J.J. Watt and start focusing on that negative energy on Jack Easterby. Moving on. So yeah, that's a lot of the prevailing theory about why Amy was fired and called a non-cultural
Yeah,
fit.
I just want to know what the culture is. Like, if a woman,
That was my question when they said that. Now that I think about it, what is the Texans culture?
I mean, they technically used to have like the Texans used to be that like no matter if they were down in the dumps, almost happy go lucky, like I don't know, I don't know, like I'm thinking of like the Gary Kubiak years, like when things weren't going well, but they were still optimistic, and now it's just nobody has a fucking clue. They literally are just doing things on a whim. They're firing. I don't know, dude.
Yeah, at some
If I
point we'll
wasn't
figure. At some
if I
point we'll
wasn't
find it out.
really fat, I would rip this shirt off right now. I don't think our viewers, and I don't think I can actually take my shirt off on Twitch, but I would rip this shirt off and throw it away in the trash can because that's how I feel about the Texans right now. Not only are they an embarrassment on the field, the people at the top are an embarrassment off the field as well. It's
Yeah,
fucking
well,
ridiculous. Like,
what
just
can
tell
you
me,
do?
like, if you're gonna come out and say she's not a culture fit, you need to come tell us what the culture is. Like that,
Yeah,
like
say
you
it with
can't
your
do
chest.
that.
Say it with your chest. Say it with your chest, man.
Exactly.
That's all it
Like
is.
what like I don't know. What is the Texans culture? Is anybody in the chat? Is anybody fucking listening? I want to know what the Texans culture is.
Hit me up on Twitter at me_playbook. Hit Martin up on Twitter at MartynPape_ on Twitter. But we move on. We have one more story for worst of the worst. Apparently, 5 people tested positive after the Dodgers won the World Series. There's no evidence tested positive for COVID-19, not for happiness. Apparently, there's no way to confirm if it was due to Justin Turner, but the people who also confirm, like the source that they have is a person close to the situation. So who knows who that actually is? But they tested. They had 5 people test positive, and then all those people who tested positive were outside the bubble prior to the World Series in Arlington. So the Dodgers also apparently encouraged Justin Turner to come onto the field for photos. Multiple people did. He actually said that he got permission from a Dodgers employee. He said he understood that he thought he had permission from a Dodgers employee to go out onto the field and celebrate with his teammates. That was not the case. Um, yeah, so that was worst of the worst. Hopefully, Justin Turner didn't infect 5 people with a disease that we have no cure for, and hopefully, all 5 of those people and everybody else who was infected afterwards are all right. Hopefully, they do survive and don't have any of the after effects or no ramifications whatsoever, because that is the end goal of all this situation. It's we get mad because you're endangering other people's lives when you choose to do things like that. Also, apparently, his other teammates were like, "We probably were already exposed anyway, so we don't really care if he's out there on the field because we all got it anyway,
But
right?"
at least
So
he apologized, Ashton. At least he apologized, right? Like that's the thing. That's the takeaway, right? That's what Rob Manfred said. There's no he apologized. He publicly apologized. So it is what it is. We move on. Or the MLB is moving on from it, so we're gonna move
to
on as
his
well.
credit, the season was over for
Yeah,
about 10 seconds.
yeah. So
The
he didn't
season was
technically break the rule.
technically over,
So all
which
he had
is
to do
why
was
it only took
apologize.
30 minutes after the World Series. AJ Hinch was the manager for the Detroit Tigers.
Yeah.
That's also another thing. Oh, don't forget, Major League Baseball, we saw you. We saw you. We saw you. We saw the Red Sox hire Alex Cora back. We saw
Yep.
that. Don't worry.
We watching. We watching.
We watch. Oh, also, did you see that they're trying to stop MLB teams from talking about who they're not going to be affiliated with for minor league baseball teams next year?
No, I didn't see that.
Apparently, they're the Major League Baseball sent a notice out to all 30 teams, and they're like, "Hey guys, stop posting about the teams you are no longer going to be affiliated with for minor league baseball."
Hmm.
And I was like, "Fun. I'm sure that's going to be a fun thing when they Friday news dump. Hey, guess what? We actually don't have a minor league system anymore."
Yeah, we can't afford it because nobody's fucking watching our sport. All right, Ashton, we move on. Let's talk a little bit about some basketball. About a week ago, you and I kind of discussed what was on the table for an NBA season. Now we know kind of where everything stands. We know when it's going to start. We know the money, which we're going to talk about in a second. But about a week ago, there was no start date to the season. Now Excuse me. It is going to start on December 22nd. As we record this on November 12th. That is 1, 2,
It's like a
3,
month and 2
4,
weeks. So it's like a month and 2
5.
weeks.
It's 5 weeks and 5 weeks, 5 days away from when we are recording right now.
The NBA will be back.
Yeah, it's a quick
They'll
off
be
season.
playing.
It's a quick off
Oh
season. You know what I'm saying?
God.
We
By the
got.
way, they're already. Did you see the photos, the team photos? They're already back in the gym. Like they're already at the team
Well, no, I mean,
facility.
what do you expect? The season start like,
Sorry.
like NBA free agency is literally a week away. The draft is what 14
Next
days away,
Wednesday.
or yeah, exactly. Like it's just warp. That could have been a title for this show, Warp Speed, because the NBA they want to get back on the court. We're gonna talk about their income. You brought up a couple last week or the week before about like just how much money they were going to bring in this season. It was a projected loss, but you know, when we get there, I don't think it was as much of a loss as you and I were thinking it was going to be. But the salary cap has been set. Was it 109 million?
So yeah, they did the same salary cap for the base salary cap and the luxury tax. Remember, the NBA doesn't have a hard
Yeah.
tax. They don't have a hard salary cap. They have this, which is honestly like a brilliant system. Basically, like once you get past a certain amount of money, it's every dollar you spent over, you have to pay the league $1 for that. So if you spent $5 million into the luxury tax, you owe the league $5 million.
That's why
And
Steve
then it gets
Ballmer
to
doesn't care about contracts. He's
and
just
then
like,
it
I
gets
will
to
pay everybody.
yeah, and then it gets to a point like, see, they say that, and there's actually a really funny interview that I heard on the Woj pod where they're like, yeah, it's all fun in games and everybody's real happy until it's the off season and you have to wire the NBA $42 million. They're like, for what? Why are we like? He's like, you have to go explain to the owner of the team why you owe the NBA $42 million, and it's because we wanted more 3-and-D shooters or something like that. So, but yeah, the luxury tax. Remember, there's the 1-for-1, and then there's the deadly 2-for-1. So that's when you get to the crazy high levels of the luxury tax, where it's like every $1 you spend is $2. So like $5 million turns into $10 million that you owe the league when it's all said and done. And I can't imagine those conversations being like, this is our salary cap, and the chart is completely full. And it's like, this is also our salary cap, and it's another chart of completely full of like, this is how much money we owe. Anyway, moving on. The other things, I did some quick stuff on here thanks to Spot Track. We learned how to say the name of that website. One of the best salary cap websites in the game. If you have the money, give them money because it's worth it when it's all said and done. They have the top 3 teams in cap space right now: the Hawks, the Pistons, and the reigning NBA champion LA Lakers.
Well, there's a reason
also,
they got a lot of cap space.
Oh, by the way, the 4th team with the most salary cap, the Miami Heat.
Which, Ashton, I don't know if you saw the little tweet that came out. It kind of went under the radar.
I've seen the bullshit.
Oh, I've seen it. You saw what Jimmy Butler said?
I've seen the bullshit about like James wanting to go there, or I've also seen the bullshit of like Giannis potentially going there. By the way, Giannis has to make a decision about where he's going to play December 12th, so look out for that.
Yeah, the Jimmy Butler hinting that the Heat are on the verge of making a mega trade. No other details except for that were announced, but Jimmy Butler.
The Lakers reportedly trying to get DeMar DeRozan back in LA, which is where he's from. If you don't know, DeMar DeRozan's from Compton. So, actually, yeah, he's from LA.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's from. I don't know why I'm spacing on that. Anyway, he went to USC with Lil Romeo. Don't forget that. Forget.
He's born in Compton. Yeah.
Yeah, Lil Romeo and DeMar DeRozan played on the same AAU team. There was a Nickelodeon show about it because Master P was their dad. Master P was their coach. And that's how Lil Romeo got into USC as a college athlete, because he was a package deal with DeMar DeRozan, who used to be protected by the Crips, by the way. Like legit, like when people would like one time somebody tried to rob DeMar DeRozan's mom and him after a game, and a bunch of Crips rolled up and beat the fuck out of him. So they were like, we see that he's like, we're not gonna let you snuff out his flame. We're gonna because he can make it out and we can't. So we're gonna, they huddled around him. Same thing happened to D Rose. A lot of people like to talk about gangs in a lot of different ways. Some of those gangs are weird. I'll say that. In terms of like, they're not exactly everything that you see on TV.
You know who doesn't have cap space, Ashton?
Yeah.
The Houston Rockets.
Yeah. It's not as bad as some other teams. I'll tell you that much. I think they're like in the 15 range, right? They're like 15, 16th or something like that. Theirs is positive. I think they have 270,000 or something like that.
Oh, nice. Who are you going to sign with $207,000?
You got more money. You got more money than that. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
like the
I know.
luxury tax, like plus all that, but it's not. They're not gonna. I mean, they're not gonna spend money. Like nobody's trying to spend money because the cap has been artificially set. Remember that the cap is not based off of the revenue gain from this current year. So teams are operating technically at a loss. They just said that they're gonna be paying the teams $348 million out of escrow, which is the money they've been setting aside to match contracts and shit like that for the players and everything. I'm not doing that segment where we talk about NBA math. Fewest players signed to their current roster right now. Number 1, the LA Lakers. Number 2, the Detroit Pistons. Number 3, the Atlanta Hawks. And number 4, strangely enough, the New Orleans Pelicans. Just some stuff to look about. So the teams with the most cap space and the fewest players signed. LA Lakers, front and center, ladies and gentlemen, for free agency. We love to see it.
Because LeBron figured it out. LeBron figured out how to do the contracts. You get good players in, sign them on one-year deals, and then they either re-sign for the next year or they bounce. Like that's how.
I can't wait until LeBron James buys the Cleveland Cavaliers.
Yeah, and just does that over and over again, except nobody wants to go to Cleveland. But Ashton, our We Talking Money segment is also to do with the NBA, and that is the income that they got last season. What was it? They had 8 million something in 2019, 2020, or what? I can't.
Yeah, it was like 8.3.
I'm trying to think the years because since we
it was $8.3 billion last season. This current season, they just came off of the bubble season. They made $6.85 billion. Which, hey, we go into the office meeting and we look at how everything shook out, and we made $6.85 billion. It's hard. It's sometimes it's hard to get mad about that. Sometimes it's hard to get mad when you think about how much $1 billion is or whatever. But the other thing to point out, this is just off basketball income. It doesn't include like extraneous stuff that the teams do. But yeah, that's We Talking Money or We Talking Money. The NBA made $6 billion in a year that y'all claim was real bad for them. In a year where they had ratings drop 70% in the finals.
Yeah, 6.85 million.
I think they'll take it. Also, don't forget the NBA also owns the WNBA, so they probably made money off that as well. Anyway,
especially with those ratings going up,
that
China, you know what I'm saying?
It did not help that China completely cut off the NBA finals until Game 5.
Yeah. Because some people actually wanted to watch LeBron James win it, I guess.
Yeah, of course. And then, of course, like China has a lot of Lakers fans because a lot of people were dedicated to and loyal to Kobe and everything. Yeah. Moving on, media suggestions. Martin, you got any on this one?
You actually stole the one that I was going to talk about because you retweeted it, or I saw you put it out on Twitter, and I went and watched it, and it's actually really fucking good. Because I, admittedly, not a fan of anybody in the Ball family, and this report kind of put LaMelo in like
let's be for real. You're not a fan of LeVar.
No, I'm not a fan of any of it. I mean,
okay.
I don't really have a reason to not like the kids, but because of LeVar, I'm not. I mean, there's a conversation about a dad hyping up, like some people don't have their dads in their lives. This is the conversation where dads could be in the lives too much. But LaMelo Ball, back when he was in high school, all we ever saw was him cherry picking and shooting from the halfway line. So that's why I never really liked him. But now that he's grown up and built out into his frame, he's actually not that bad.
He got a weird ass jump shot. Anyway,
the whole family does. Like, it's so weird.
Because they learn how to shoot from their dad. Anyway, like straight up, there's like so many stories about that. I read a story about how they used to like shoot around at a gym, and then one day, like some dude rolled up, and I guess he had beef with somebody who was on the court, started shooting at the court. Like, I mean, not shooting the basketball. I mean, like shooting the piece at the court, and he scooped up all 3 of the kids and ran out the back door of the gym or whatever. And I was like, that's a dad being a dad. Anyway. Yeah, so check it out. It's Mike Schmidt's scouting report for LaMelo, and I'm assuming he's done it I'm assuming he's going to do it for other draft prospects. I should probably check that right now. He has to be doing it for other draft prospects because I know a lot of people want to hear about James Wiseman and everything like that. Me in particular, because if he goes to Golden State, we could have a problem. Could have a big problem here. Nobody's really paying attention to the Golden State Warriors being back at full force again. But hey, what do I know? Nothing. But yeah, check it out. He's done. It was really thorough. It was like 15 minutes of just breaking down everything that LaMelo Ball does really well and what he does wrong. Other thing I wanted to point out: Nate Boyer wrote a piece for. Oh, sorry, I got to sneeze here real quick. There we go. Nate Boyer wrote a piece for the Players Tribune, which is a website owned by Derek Jeter, where athletes get to write their own article pieces and they're like slightly edited. I found this out because a friend of mine actually was almost an editor at one of the player editors for the Players Tribune. But Nate Boyer, who, if you don't recall, went to the University of Texas after being a Green Beret for I don't know how many years or whatever, and went to the University of Texas. He was a college football player, like 27, 28 or something like that, and taught himself how to play football while he was deployed, and then showed up at Texas and ended up playing for the Seattle Seahawks at one point. He was also the first member of the military to come out and tell you motherfuckers for the 50 billionth time that kneeling for the anthem has nothing to do with disrespecting the military. And he says it as often as he possibly can. He's a person that's talked to Colin Kaepernick on so many levels and so many times. He is also many would say an exceptional human being because not many, like there are high school kids who dedicate their entire career to playing college football and never make it to playing to the level of the University of Texas, right? Nate Boyer was a Green Beret that entire time, literally deployed out into some other country. But he wrote a piece in the Players Tribune for Veterans Day about like, dude, you got to let yourself feel emotions. It was about how being a hero hurt him far more than it ever helped him. His desire to want to save the world was so destructive to him on so many levels. I thought it was a beautiful piece. It was a part of Nate Boyer's soul that he showed to all of us because he just talks about how he never gave himself a break, how he never let himself just be a person. And everybody thought he was like some grandiose human, and all people, including his family and the people who loved him, all they ever wanted was their son, their friend, their husband, their dad, Nate. And he spent so much time trying to be a hero, he forgot what it means to be a person. It was a really good piece because I feel like a lot of people go through that, whether they're military members or not. But in particular, when you sign up to go fight in a war against an enemy you don't know, in a country you've never been to, that goes a long way. I don't know what you took away from it, Martin, but just
No, I'll
yeah,
go check it. I
I
haven't
thought it
read it
was
yet.
really
I'll go
good.
check it out. I'll definitely check that one out.
Yeah.
Those are our media suggestions. Now we go into the second half of the show where we talk about what's going on. We'll get to the NFL Week 10 picks. We're gonna do our UFC nickname picks. I think I had a good week last weekend. I can't think of my record off the top of my head, Ashton. But
4-1.
4-1. Okay, there we go. Yep.
We're only an hour into. We can get this, guys. We can get
Yeah.
this under 2.5. We can do this.
We can definitely do it.
We got it. Okay, so we got what's going on here, Martin. I got some funny ass stories that I saw that happened, like football related, that I wrote down. Some of them are some of them are not funny, and some of them are. I wrote the number one here. Number one, Chris Carson, running back for the Seattle Seahawks, who's been out for a couple of games because of an ankle injury. Because a lot of people are not talking about this. A dirty ass gator roll from the Dallas Cowboys all those weeks ago, and Chris Carson still hasn't been the same from it. So he has been out. Some dude slid into his DMs, said he's a pussy, and he needs to tape his ankle up and go play.
For his go play for his fantasy team, not just go play. This guy slid into the DM to say, "Get your ass back on the field, you pussy, so that you can help my fantasy team." And Chris Carson said, "Fuck your fantasy team." And not only did he say that, the second part of his message is the best part.
Yeah, he says pull up, and the guy asks for what's the address, what's the Addy, aka address. Chris Carson gave him his address to pull up so he could beat the fuck out of him. And if you've so guys, I'll give you here's something it's thing that's in your brain, but you just didn't know. That picture with AJ Brown and DK Metcalf after their combine workout where they're all flexing with their shirts off. Chris Carson is right next to DK Metcalf. And if you remember anything about all the people in that photo, DK Metcalf may have been the most jarring of the human beings that was in there, but all those other people are quite scary as well, physically imposing as well. Chris Carson was standing right next to DK Metcalf, and he's just a little bit shorter, but just as ripped as DK is. So, and I'm not saying muscles win fights because they don't, but I'm telling you this right now, it sure does help. They help in some way, shape, or form, especially against who I can only assume is a 12-year-old to write to a grown ass man and call him a pussy about not playing football. Anyway,
Not helping is like that's the best part. It's not like a Seahawks fan, like
right. He's like, bitch, I need you out there so I can get these 10 points in my fantasy game.
right.
Okay. Other thing going on here. Moving on. Lamar Jackson apparently says that other teams know the Ravens plays.
Which is interesting because we were talking earlier this season that
they ain't been able to stop them.
Well, but I was going to say the Texans also had that problem. We've yet to know if that got figured out. But
because they still can't run the ball, but it may be because of other reasons.
Yeah, they suck. But the Ravens, Lamar Jackson, that's another story. I hope this isn't an excuse by Lamar Jackson for playing poorly this year because
y'all say playing poorly. They won their last game 24-10, and the team that they played against didn't score in the second half. The week before that, they played the Steelers and had two potential game-winning drives. And you and I both agree, Martin, that the Ravens controlled that game. They just
for sure. They just had the turnovers, and that's
the turnovers. So
Lamar had a couple. We also agree.
Also, the stats say that he's at the same like numerical stage that he was at this point last year.
Really?
Yeah. Like there's a whole thing where it was like last week going into week 9, he's basically doing the same thing he was last year without, breaking people's ankles. He's just playing a different kind of football. Although I will say when you watch them play football, they're taking a lot more sacks. He's under pressure and dumping out a lot more than usual. And anytime he makes a big pass down the field, it takes way longer for the ball to get out because he needs more time for them to get open. So,
yeah, what Hollywood Brown? I don't know what happened to Hollywood Brown this year. It seems like
he's playing a lot. He's playing a lot better than he did last year. And if you recall, last year what was it? His Achilles or
was it not a hamstring because he's fast?
He started the season with an injury last year, and he didn't end up finishing it. But
it was a foot injury. I think it was a foot injury, wasn't it?
It was there you go. It was a foot injury. And he's been recovering. I don't know if we expected him to come out here and just light that shit up or whatever, but he's doing all right, I guess. It's his second year in the NFL, which is technically his rookie year, because last year he played hurt in the NFL, and I can't imagine like your rookie year where you're injured the entire time is going to actually teach you all that much about playing in the NFL, right? Other story I had, unless you have something else about the Lamar Jackson stuff.
No, not. I've got one more thing football related, but you can do what you wanted.
Takk McKinley got signed to the Bengals. They got him off waivers. That's cool. I don't know if that's going to help their really bad defense. Larry Fitzgerald has not dropped a pass in 2 years.
Oh yeah, that's been known. Larry Fitzgerald does not drop passes. He's got like one dropped passes his whole career, right?
He's got like, I think he's got what is the stupid stat? Oh man. I think he's got no.
He's got more career. He's got more career tackles than he has career drops.
Yeah, there you go. That's the stupid one. That's the dumb one that they always mention, which is it's dumb in terms of like, wow, that's insane that a person can be that good all the time. Other thing I had here, Martin Stephon Diggs has been tweeting about how nobody's gotten him a PS5 yet.
Yeah, he's trying. I saw that one. He's trying hard. Which speaking of, that shit went under the radar.
So now nobody's freaking out about it, right? Like nobody can, like apparently everybody can get one now. Like people can just order it online.
Xbox came out and then PS5 came out, and I swear that shit went under the radar. Like I was expecting a lot more hype. I mean, yeah, Halo didn't come out with the Xbox, so that's the single reason the Xbox didn't have any hype. But both of the new gens came out this past week, and I wouldn't have known if it wouldn't have been for the fucking don't blow smoke into your Xbox bullshit that came out. But
okay, so I was gonna ask there's a podcast I listen to, Checkpoint XP. Shout out to them and Robbie Landis and all them. They do like really quick podcasts that have like individual stories about esports. They had a really sad one about how everybody esports related for ESPN got fired. Yeah, they're fired. And then they had one about Xbox is on fire. Is it 2002 again?
Well, no, it's not true. That the Xbox had to like come out and be like, please do not blow vape or smoke into your Xbox because it'll look like it's on fire and people will believe it, because the dummies out there don't realize that electrical smoke and the smoke that they were putting in the videos don't look the same.
Yeah.
It's
and if you can tell, like if you've ever actually smoked anything, if you smoke like a cigar, like I have on many occasions, and I've smoked a vape because I used to vape CBD on a regular basis until I realized it was affecting my cardio. I used to vape CBD. It's a totally different kind of smoke.
it's fucking yeah.
It's gunky. Like it literally becomes gunk. Like if you smoke and you exhale vape on the same spot in your car all the time, like the residue builds up, and that's what's going to happen in your Xbox. So good. No Xbox on fire. Cool. Glad we got that out of the way. Also, Stefan Diggs is trying to get somebody from PS5 or Xbox One to give him an Xbox.
Yeah.
Like it's not for like it comes off like he's tweeting about like he keeps tweeting like, man, nobody got me an Xbox or a PS5 yet. Noted. A millionaire talking about how nobody's gotten him an Xbox or a PS. An Xbox
nobody's
or
gotten
a
me
PS5.
one, Ashton. No one's gotten me an Xbox or a PlayStation. I would gladly.
You should use that as a chip on your shoulder. If you see Stefan Diggs score a touchdown this week, that's what his motivation was. Nobody got him a PS5 or an Xbox.
Yo, Chad Ocho Cinco Johnson, I will play you in FIFA on any Xbox One or PlayStation 5. You just gotta buy me one, and then you'll catch these hands on the sticks. You know what I'm saying? Because if anybody out there knows, Chad Ocho Cinco is a huge
really
FIFA
good
player.
though.
Oh
yeah, Chad's really good though.
You haven't seen me. I used to make my friends put the controller down.
No, he also apparently, I heard this is a shout out to Decent Amaro. Apparently he changes the settings. Like he has like customized settings that he always plays with when he goes on people's Xboxes, so that probably might be something that helps him a ton and like it throws you off. But Houston Jones, he is a bodybuilder. He had Wonder Boy from the UFC on his podcast. Or he had Wonder Boy from the UFC on his YouTube channel, and he just had Wonder Boy kick him in the leg.
Oh, is that the bruise or whatever?
Yeah, at like 30%. He had Wonder Boy kick him in the leg at like 30% power, and naturally Houston Jones collapsed.
Yeah. And the bruise is like it's deep purple. It's not just like a normal bruise. It's like one of those.
Yeah, Wonder Boy's got a Muay Thai and a Taekwondo background, so he understands how to put his foot like literally up your ass, like for real. If you got him to, he probably will be able to do it. But I just want to point that was pretty funny. Last weekend in boxing.
Ashton, whatever you just said there, nobody on Twitch heard because the stream froze.
Okay.
Or like the call froze.
Tony La Russa got a DUI. That's all I said.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. That's what we were talking about at the start of the show.
And another one here, a knockout from this past weekend in boxing by Luis Ortiz is under investigation for somebody throwing the fight.
I saw that. That was weird.
He got tapped in the ribs, and he completely collapsed over like he got knocked out with like a haymaker from Mike Tyson.
Yeah, and people are saying that like it was a liver shot, but doesn't.
Which does happen. It happens in MMA a lot more than it does in boxing.
But yeah, and like because they've got the big old thing around your wrist, like it's hard to get a liver shot, and especially for like not clinched either. It wasn't even in the clinch. It was like
a passing blow.
Yeah, really. And he goes down, and some people are like he broke his ribs. Like, no, he went down a little easy on that one. I could see where people can, as a conspiracy theorist myself, Ashton, I could see where
as
that one could be.
Conspiracy theorist, I'm all over this.
Yeah.
Magnifying.
Yeah.
Other thing I got, Puma is doing a collab with Elf, like the movie Elf.
Really? Okay.
So they have slides that look like Elf shoes. They have onesies that are like Elf design. They have a backpack and shoes. So if you're one of those people, I've always been partial to Chris Paul's Christmas Day sneakers. Those are some of my favorite sneakers I've ever seen, especially holiday themed. Check those out. Puma has also been dropping a ton of shoes lately because they got the new Samsons that they're trying to get ready for the NBA season, which I'm assuming is a huge correlation to that. Did you see that Jordan is doing the power laces?
No.
Jumpman has power lace shoes that are coming out. Like they use the technology from the Back to the Future Nikes that they released like 20 of for like $50,000 each or something. They have there's an Air Jordan that's coming out. I think it's Air Jordan 11s that have power laces on them. So naturally, nobody will be able to get those. They are also the boldest move I've ever seen in 2020. They're coming out after Christmas. Like, not even trying to get in the Christmas rush. They're like, don't worry, baby. They're going to get these shoes no matter what. It don't matter what time we sell them. So, last one here. Sterling Brown, after that incident with the Milwaukee Police Department, where he was in a CVS. He was double parked across two parking spots up front in front of a CVS. Literally nobody else was in the parking lot. One cop showed up and they were harassing Sterling about like who he was, why he was there. They were trying to make a big deal out of a parking ticket, and they ended up calling like 12 other cop cars, and he ended up getting tased and put down on the ground. They searched his car and found nothing.
Nice.
So he got he got $750,000, so $750,000 for that settlement from the Milwaukee Police Department, which all but admits that they were wrong in that situation. Anyway, moving on, Martin. Let's talk about some NFL games.
I've got one thing. Hold on. I just had to look at something. When we get to the NFL games, I have some stats and some breakdowns of the games, courtesy of your arch nemesis, Frosty X Nugs. Because if you didn't hear, which I'm surprised, anybody in the sports world, I'm surprised you didn't hear. Our boy Frosty won $100 last week on a $15 free bet.
Oh, now he thinks he's a professional. Now he thinks he
well,
knows
here's the thing.
everything.
He's got some really, really good notes, and so I'm gonna when we get to the games, I'm gonna read you some of them, and we're gonna help Frosty. Because here's the thing. I don't know if Frosty's still in our chat or not. He ain't giving us any credit for last week's help. We ain't getting no credit for. He said he did all that all by himself. I made that exact same face. I said, where's my money in my Venmo right now?
We're out here. We are molding great minds of this game.
And getting no respect. No respect.
No respect. Wow.
But anyways, before we get into that,
I remember that.
Yeah.
Another reason we're arch nemesis.
Nemesis.
We're arch nemesis.
Yeah.
Nemesis.
Yeah. Whatever.
It's nemesis with an apostrophe on the last S in nemesis.
Yeah. So before we get into Week 10 action, Ashton, it's announced who will headline Super Bowl 55.
I can't feel my face when I'm with you, and I love it.
Oh, I can't wait. Some people are already clowning on it. Some people are already hating. I can't wait for the weekend to be in Tampa Bay, giving us a great halftime performance. Hopefully he plays some like just goes from the top like
he's
from
definitely he's gonna give you I can't feel my face. He's gonna give Alarm probably and Starboy. I'm a motherfucking Starboy.
Starboy will probably be there. Yep. I mean, he could literally just pick and choose any album he's ever done.
Early picks on secret guest.
Oh, I was gonna say Drake, but I don't.
One. Yeah, I was thinking Drake because if you know the story, Draco's The Weeknd.
Oh yeah. Hold on, let me see. Who has The Weeknd?
So the story in hip hop is that The Weeknd wrote all of. What is the one where he's sitting at a feast table with like a turkey wing in his hand with the black shirt on? The rumor is that The Weeknd wrote like half the songs on one of Drake's albums. The Weeknd.
I can't think of that off the top of my head. It could be Ariana Grande. They've got a song together.
That probably. It's Take Care. The album Take Care. Which I think he went like platinum in that or something like that. So the rumor has it is that he wrote like half the songs on that album.
Maybe Travis Scott. I know Sway Lee.
Travis Scott would be sick. Yeah. H-Town Hold It Down. Sway Lee. I would be down for that. And don't they have like what is that song? What is this song with Sway Lee from what is the group called?
Huh?
Sway Lee is one of
Oh,
two.
Ray Sherman. I
Ray
can never.
Shrimmer, there you go, Ray Shrimmer. Yeah.
Ray Sherman. Yeah, I can
By the
never.
way, those guys have a crazy backstory. They literally used to break into unsold houses
Hmm.
and throw parties and play their music.
Wow.
That's how they got famous.
There's also Lana Del Rey. Lana Del Rey and The Weeknd have a couple of
Let's
songs
let's
together.
not let's not
No,
let's not.
you don't want that one. You'll take Ariana Grande, but you won't take Lana Del Rey.
Ariana Grande as is a self-proclaimed fan of big black balls, but she's also very talented vocally. If you don't get that joke, you should go look up Ariana Grande and big black balls.
Yeah,
So
I'm a huge Ariana Grande fan. Her new album is actually really good. No,
sleeves, if you listen to the read, is what they call her on. They call her sleeves because every photo you see of her, she has like an oversized sweater covering her
yeah.
face.
But really
Also,
quickly, or go ahead, Ashton.
one of the greatest Nickelodeon stars to ever exist. Her and
Oh yeah,
Victoria Justice, because she used to be on Victorious. Where, anyway, whatever.
yeah.
Moving on.
So if you don't know, the Roman numerals for 55 and this year's Super Bowl is LV. I'm saying it right now, Ashton. If Louis Vuitton isn't some sort of main sponsor of this year's Super Bowl, they are missing out. Because when you see the letters LV, the first fucking thing you think of, especially like the fashion world or whatever, is fucking Louis Vuitton. So if they don't have a commercial, if they don't do somewhere where they're like the official fucking bag of the teams walking into the stadium or something, I'm gonna be disappointed in Louis Vuitton's sales
Or
department.
they do, or they do what they've been doing. They did that for esports. What was it?
The League of
It was
Legends,
over.
the,
They
the
did
League
the
of
League of
Legends
Legends. They
trophy case is a Louis Vuitton. There's
and they
also
did it for the
skins.
NBA. And
Oh,
they
they
did it
did.
for the NBA. Yeah,
Okay,
they
so do it
the
for the Super
NBA's
Bowl.
trophy case was a Louis Vuitton case. Adam Silver was like, "You guys get the trophy, and I guess this case as well because it looks like it's pretty nice too." So yeah, yeah. So Louis Vuitton, or they're gonna do what they are gonna do. It's gonna be Super Bowl Live because Club Live is like a hot spot on South Beach.
It's in
So
Tampa Bay though.
like I said, Club Live. Everybody wanted to make those jokes last year.
Yeah,
Anyway,
yeah. All right, NFL Week 10. Let's get into some picks, Ashton. Last week I got 10 right. Let's see, where
at
were
7,
you at last week?
I think it was pretty bad.
Wait for my internet. You got 8 last week. I'm up to 83 total. You're at 72, but you also had that one week where ESPN screwed you
Fine.
over and didn't get your picks in.
Oh, by the way, how many double-digit point weeks do you have?
A
Because I
lot.
think I only have one.
Let's see here.
See, that's my problem. I keep coming in like I'm slowly slipping away because you keep getting multiple tens and I keep getting like nines and eights.
Um, I've got 1, 2, 3, 4. 4 10 or more correct weeks. I've got a couple of nines in there. The lowest I've done is an 8 so far. So we've been doing
I
really
start
well on
listening
our
to
picks.
Mark. He knows more than me about
I'm
football.
trying to make people money, like Frosty X Nugs, who sometimes comes in our chat. He came in at the very top of the show and said Texans suck, and then hasn't said anything else since the top of the show. But Ashton, it's time to get into the picks. It's time to break down Week 10. We're about 2.5 hours away. If you're listening to us live from the Indianapolis Colts Tennessee Titans Thursday night football game, it's going to be on Fox and on Amazon Prime. You can listen to Hannah Storm and Andrea Kramer do their thing, which I thoroughly recommend. Also, Twitch has missing out on opportunity on having us being one of the channels that gets to host and do all the cool stuff. So, hey, Twitch Sports, there we go. What up? How's it going? Just when I say you guys are missing out on opportunity, how's it going? Welcome to the Broke Boy Sports Podcast. We're in here just about to break down Week 10. We got the Colts and Titans tonight, Ashton, in Nashville. This is actually a battle for first place where you and
Martin,
I are
I will say,
not. We're not really
Martin,
sold on either team right now.
Martin, I will say this. I just saw, this is how we know we're getting towards the end of the season. I just saw the first playoff graphic I've seen
Yep.
all football season. I saw the in the hunt graphic with
Oh, that's the good one.
That's how you know. These games matter more now. Every one of these games is worth twice as much as the last one. But yeah, Thursday night football should be interesting, man. Who you calling on this one? Because I think it's pretty obvious.
So we talked about it earlier. It's quickly mentioned Corey Davis's brother. Um, and
May he
we're
rest in peace.
yeah, passed away from cancer, I believe. I saw it say. Um, Unfortunate to see that, but as I brought up on Tuesday's show with Josh Allen, and for those who have been a fan of the NFL for a while, um, for some reason when a death happens in the family, NFL players kind of step up and go above and beyond. And the one that'll always be remembered, at least for me, is the Brett Favre game where his father passed away, right? And he went off on Monday Night Football or Sunday Night Football, whichever one it was, put up, 400 yards, 4 touchdowns, and just kind of blew it away. And then last week, of course, Josh Allen went off against the Seahawks after his grandmother passed away. So Corey Davis has lost his brother. I Cancer sucks. Fuck cancer. Um, so with that being said, Ashton, I'm still gonna go and vote. We've got Frosty's. You want Frosty's tidbit on this game? Give me 1 second to pull it up. Here we go. So Frosty says the Colts are 18 and 22 since 2009 versus Tennessee. However, they're coming off a very sloppy loss where you mentioned earlier that they didn't score a single point in the second half. He is leaning Tennessee minus 1.5.
Yeah, so I go Tennessee here, one, because they have overall more talent than overall they have more talent, like on both sides of the ball, at all phases of the game. Unless it comes down to a field goal, then we might be getting a hairy situation. They have more talent, and that goes on offense and on defense, for whatever you have to say. The front seven for the Indianapolis Colts has been one of the best in the NFL, like no question whatsoever. They have four D linemen who are really good at pass rush. DeForest Buckner, surprisingly really useful on the run defense, especially when you got Darius Leonard behind you to make up and fix any mistakes that you possibly could make in terms of like lanes and everything. They're doing a great job this season of getting pressure on quarterbacks without sending more than four guys, because they have true defensive linemen who are good at both halves of what it means to be a D lineman. Like some guys are pass rushers, some guys are defensive linemen, some guys are defensive ends, defensive tackles. That'll be interesting. The other thing that goes with it, not only are the Titans just god awful at getting pressure in general, they are going up against one of the better offensive lines in the NFL. So we have to assume that Philip Rivers is going to have a lot of extra time in the pocket. And then you lean back, you lean and you look at what that affects. That means it's more time for wide receivers to get open. And I will say, for as talented as the Ravens defense is, they not only force multiple turnovers, one of those being that sketchy interception that
He took 3 steps.
Took 3 steps and he fell down. We're right. That one of them being that sketchy interception, but we know for a fact that Tennessee Titans don't have that kind of talent when it comes to defense, right? Mm-hmm. So this should be a close game, man. It's a divisional game, and it might very well come down to a field goal. But I'm going with the Tennessee Titans off the Corey Davis bump.
Yeah.
I will say that, but I mean these are two teams that you and I have been saying are frauds since week 1 of the season, and this 5-3 record and 6-2 record don't fool us, man. Like that, it counts. It really does. It helps them in terms of like the wild card race, because one I can learn going to have to fall back when it comes to like who wins the divisional championship or whatever. But we know what the deal is with these guys, man.
Yeah. Sorry to anybody that's listening on Twitch right now. That I can't remember what Microsoft calls it. Cortana just yelled in our ears, so sorry for that.
Wow.
But Ashton, also shout out to Twitch Sports coming into the chat. I know I mentioned a couple.
Is that like the actual?
Yeah,
Twitch?
it's the verified Twitch Sports account. They said they loved the channel name, Broke Boy Sports. Quick breakdown for it. We're both broke boys. it gives it away. Ashton lives in Houston. I live in Austin. We're both broke boys, and we've been doing this since quarantine started. And thanks for tuning in. But Ashton, with Frosty saying that the Colts are 18 and 22 since 2009 against Tennessee, I'm going to go with that trend. I say they go 19 and 23. Give me the Colts. And next game, we're going to start off the noon kickoffs with the Houston Texans going up to Cleveland to take on the Browns. So
we know what this game is, right?
Like, it's going to be a blowout. Nick Chubb might come back. If Nick Chubb comes back and plays, this one will be even more than a blowout. The Texans can't stop the run. That's what the Browns do best. The Texans offense is going to have to go against
the Texans
Myles
offense
Garrett.
Is one of the most explosive in the NFL. So that's like statistically proven. Depth of target is They literally have the highest amount of yards per play in the NFL.
And it's done absolutely nothing. Like,
so I mean, it scored them plenty of points. You look at the last couple of, like, once again, like, look at what they've done against, like, the top tier talent that they played against. This game really, okay, so the way that this game is going to shake out, Baker Mayfield is going to look like a goddamn superhero, right? Mm-hmm. He's going to look better than he's ever felt. He's going to look better than he's ever looked this entire season. Or maybe, just maybe, he looks like an average quarterback, because let's be honest, he's been below average this entire season. So him even stepping up a couple of tiers in the NFL makes him look like an average quarterback. And we've seen what the Texans are capable of doing against average quarterbacks so far this season. And it's actually been pretty successful, because so far this year they've played against Ben Roethlisberger, Patrick Mahomes, Lamar Jackson, Aaron Rodgers, and who else? Did I miss anyone? Oh, Gardner Minshew. So the most average of those quarterbacks on the list has lost both times. So they're gonna make, like, Baker Mayfield's gonna look really good in this game. There's no question about that whatsoever. If you have Jarvis Landry, I would suggest starting him. If you have Austin Hooper, I would suggest starting him. He's apparently 100% healthy. He's coming off an injury from last week where he actually missed the game last week. So he's back in form on this one. But yeah, this game should be a shootout, like back and forth affair between these two teams, because the Browns defense is pretty bad in comparison to the competition that they've played, combined with the fact that, okay, so now, Martin, let me ask you this. Let me riddle me this. Baker Mayfield plays at like a high level. The Texans generate turnovers in this one, interceptions, because they've been able to get interceptions far easier than they've been able to force fumbles. Does that change the pace, the offensive pace of this game? Taking possessions away from the Browns, who you already know are a slow-paced team, and giving them to the Texans? Because that's what it is. It's, once again, when we talk about turnovers, right? We talk about turnovers. It's good on two fronts for the Texans, because it puts one of the better offenses in the NFL on the field and takes off one of the worst defenses.
Yeah, true. I just don't see how this game is going to be close, man. Like,
I'm interested to see how this shakes out in terms of the pressure, though. Like, is Myles Garrett gonna show out? Because remember, we're talking about like two of the best tackle combination, right and left tackle in the NFL. So we'll see how that shakes out, because really the pressure hasn't been there the last couple of weeks versus the Texans offense. And I don't know if that's a sign of Deshaun getting a hang of the offense a lot better and getting those reads out early or whatever. I know he's been making some crazy plays in terms of like flushing out of the pocket, but I feel pretty good about this one. I expect this game to be interesting at the very least. I don't expect it to be a blowout.
It's gonna.
I'm going with the Texans.
Okay. The Texans have only been able to beat the Jacksonville Jaguars this season. I think we can both say that we can both agree the Cleveland Browns are better than the Jacksonville Jaguars. The game started at -3. It since went to -3.5. That's how confident the bettors are on the Browns. I think you could get that at -6 and still feel confident that the Browns.
So it's a 0.
Huh? No, it's in 0. Cleveland, so.
It's a 0.
If it was a neutral, it would be 0.5 at where it's at right now.
You get plus.
You get
plus 3 for.
Yeah.
You get plus 3 for being at home. So yeah, so it's 0.
It would have started at 0. Like, okay. Basically, it would have been a pick'em, not a 0. It would have been a pick'em.
It is a pick'em
on
now.
A neutral.
Like 3 is 3.
Well,
is
no, it's at -3.5. It's gotten better for the Browns.
Okay.
Since betting open for this game.
Gotcha.
I believe they've cleared Nick Chubb. Or he practiced today.
Oh, that's weird, because it's supposed to be Mary Kate. I read an article from Mary Kate Cabot, but it was also like Sunday morning when I read that about Baker and Nick, not this week but next week for Nick. But hey, if he's back,
I'm looking at the injury report for the Browns, and he's not even on it.
But yeah, he was on IR. He wouldn't be on there.
Well, they activated him.
Oh, okay, cool.
So
well, yeah, no doubt.
I think
that's
Nick
good,
because
I have him in a league.
If he's playing or if he's not playing, if he doesn't play, maybe I don't know. If he doesn't play, it might be closer than a touchdown. But give me the Browns in a blowout. Next game on the list, Ashton, is the Washington football team. They're 2-6. They're going up against a tough opponent this week in the Detroit Lions at 3-5.
I mean, tough for them. Like, they're not like they can't keep.
No, they're not.
They can't.
Yeah.
For as bad as the Lions defense has been, what we've seen out of Alex Smith so far, he can get a ton of yards. He threw 3 interceptions last week.
Yeah.
Like, You give the Lions 3 extra possessions, and that's of course dependent upon whether or not they can actually get to those possessions. Because, and we do have to give credit. The Giants' defense has been getting progressively better as the season has gone on. Martin, both you and I have noticed that. It started with the defensive line, and now you've seen Blake Martinez play really well. You've seen James Bradbury, who's been playing really well this entire season, and it's just kind of they're piecing it together. And of course, they're in a situation like the football team's in a situation they get down by 2 touchdowns versus the Detroit Lions, which is a very real scenario for them. There's no way they're coming back.
There's no way. I think the Lions are the better team on offense, or the better. Maybe Washington has a better defense, but they haven't really been playing as well of late as they did when they started the season. Give me the Lions in this one, and
think about what it took to embarrass the Lions last week. It took the number one running back in the NFL having his best game of the entire year. So
this game is so bad, Ashton, that Frosty
they pulled it off the board.
They didn't. Yeah, Frosty didn't even give me a breakdown for this one. So no interesting stats on this one. I'm going Lions. I'm guessing you're on the Lions as well.
I mean, like, come on. Like, I like Matthew Stafford a lot more than I like Alex Smith, if that is indeed who ends up starting, because who knows? Well, it's Alex Smith. It's too late in the week for them to try and change it up or whatever. But hey, Martin, one step closer to your boy Dwayne Haskins being back and being the only option. He's like, that's right, guys.
Is he going to be the backup? Are they going to say like, oh, he's sick this week? Next game on the list, Ashton. This one opened at -13.5. The Green Bay Packers are hosting Jacksonville. We're both going Packers. Do you think Jacksonville has any chance at covering that 13.5 point spread?
So no, because Jordan Love just got activated off IR. Okay. So
that's pissing off Aaron Rodgers.
Yeah, no, that's it. That's the motivation. See, nobody. That's what you get when you listen to this podcast. The little things that matter. That pissed him off. Like he saw Jordan. He's been seeing Jordan Love. Nothing's really changed. Jordan Love's just been going to the treatment room. He has been on the practice field. Jordan Love being on the practice field throwing footballs is the bane of Aaron Rodgers' existence.
Yeah, for sure. I don't see any Jake Luton being able to cover the 13.5 spread. It's in Green Bay. We're both going Packers on this one. The Jacksonville Jaguars continue to try their best to get their tank for Trevor is in full effect. We saw it last week. I told you on Tuesday's episode, if you missed it, somebody called down and said, hey, Jake, thanks for getting us within 2 points of the Texans, but let's just make sure that pass is incomplete. We move on. The Philadelphia Eagles are taking on the New York Giants. This one, I'm reluctant
By the way, Eagles win away from being at 500, guys. We should actually above 500. Above 500. Half a game above 500 because the tie is a half a win.
Yeah.
Or a half a loss, depending on if it says a lot about you.
This is one of those games where Ashton talked about on Tuesday where we're going to start seeing the little sandwich where you play one team in your division, then play somebody else, and then the very next week you play that same division opponent. 2 weeks ago, the Giants and Eagles, I believe it was Thursday Night Football, correct? Where this was the game where Danny Dimes had his 80-yard run where he didn't get into the end zone.
Where Daniel Jones had his biggest highlight play of the entire season, naturally an 80-yard run.
Yeah, and didn't get into the end zone. 22-21. Do you think this one's close again, or since the Eagles are getting a little bit healthier than they were 2 weeks ago, or whenever they met, do you think the Eagles are kind of getting on track here?
Yeah, so I think the Giants win this one.
You do?
Yeah. This is, I mean, you think, so of course, everything's not going to go back. Everything's not going to go exactly how it did last week, right? Like, it's not going to go exactly how it went when they played them on Thursday Night Football, because Thursday Night Football is a weird place to exist as a football team, right? Yeah. But the other part that goes along with it is you look around, you look at what they've got going for them, right? You look at what the Giants are doing, and they've progressively gotten better as the season has gone on, and I feel like them getting a second shot at the Eagles. First of all, it's a second opportunity versus a divisional opponent, but them getting a second opportunity versus an Eagles team that they already proved for 3 quarters that they were better than, right? Mm-hmm. That they have a legit chance to go out there and just get that win flat out this time. they've become a better team. And I know it's been a short period of time, but like look at what they've done their last two games. They blew that game versus the Eagles, of course, because of the fourth quarter where they gave up 2 touchdowns on 2 drives that were less than 2 minutes long. But then they took the Tampa Bay Buccaneers to the brink, which we need to start asking the question of if the Tampa Bay Buccaneers are actually good at some point. But maybe, maybe later on, maybe at a more embarrassing loss, maybe after, I don't know, like a 40-3 loss or something like that.
I think
Anyway,
I think the Eagles are getting healthy. I think the Eagles they just came off a bye. They've had 2 weeks to prepare for the Giants. Even though the Giants defense probably the best, I mean, for our listeners that have listened all football season long, there's something I like to do. Who's the best unit? Who's the worst unit? I think the Giants defense is the best unit of the four. Then the Eagles offense, then the Eagles defense, and then the Giants offense. Give me the Eagles. I think this one's going to be a close again. Um, it's only 3.5 Philadelphia. So, and also Frosty points out that the total is so low in this one. You got to bet the over. They're putting the over under at 44.5, which is of course going back to the when they met on Thursday Night Football 22-21 or whatever. So I'm going Eagles. You're going Giants. Next game on the schedule. Um, for some reason, a lot of people on ESPN are picking the Tampa Bay Buccaneers to beat the Carolina Panthers. It's almost at 85%, Ashton.
The disrespect.
It's at 89, excuse me. 89.
The disrespect that Teddy Two Gloves needs. That's what he needs, that chip on his shoulder for everybody to pick against him, because that's usually when he wins. But yeah, Martin, we're doing the thing again. We're picking the Buccaneers, but we know it's the Panthers that we actually want to win.
Yep, the Buccaneers beat the Panthers in week 2 of the season, 31-17. Possibly Carolina's worst game of the season. Especially looking at the score. The rest of them are one-score games. The only time they haven't been able to keep it within one score is against the Buccaneers. Tom Brady is pissed off right now. 38-3, the embarrassing loss. How does he bounce back? How do the Buccaneers in general bounce back? How does the Arians Brady little combo go back and forth? You know what I'm saying? Like, he threw Tom Brady under the bus saying we had open wide receivers. The ball just didn't get there.
You're supposed to be the greatest quarterback of all time, but we're not throwing the open wide receivers. Like, we got a big problem. You know what I mean? And I know the big difference between the Panthers and what happened with Mike Evans this week, because Mike Evans is a person that when he gets 10 targets, that's what the bare minimum of Bruce Arians' offense desires. They want at minimum Mike Evans to get 10 targets a game because he is that level of a game-changing type receiver. And if you've ever seen him play football, you know that's true. But they don't have a Marcus Lattimore, right? Like, the Panthers don't have a Marcus Lattimore. They're more centered around getting a good amount of pressure and then using their zone defense to cover up any type of athletic differences between corners and receivers. So we'll see how that goes, especially considering the Panthers, I think, lead the NFL in cover 3, which is, of course, three deep safeties. One of those is obviously a corner, and then everybody else is manned up across the front. But that cover 3 is going to be really useful versus a Bruce Arians defense that is all about the vertical stuff. They are not about the underneath life. They are not about the checkdowns, even though I think in this season, the person leading the NFL in checkdown efficiency is Phillip Rivers, but checkdowns thrown is Tom Brady, because Ronald Jones Jr. is really good at running the ball. Same thing with Leonard Fournette when you give him space underneath on a deep zone, which is what the Saints were doing in the second half of that game. They were setting up a deep zone to cut off all the deep routes that were being run by Chris Godwin and Mike Evans. And then if somebody got the ball underneath, it was fine because it was 3rd and 20.
Yep.
Like, what are you supposed to do on 3rd and 20?
Yeah.
You know.
I know I'm not supposed to pick the Carolina Panthers, Ashton, but give me the Panthers at home.
Yeah, I'm feeling the Panthers, man, on this one, like, as a whole. And of course, we're going to pick them and then they're going to lose. Last week we thought they were going to win as well, and we saw how close that game was. And I'm going to tell you this right now, the Buccaneers ain't nowhere near the team that the Kansas City Chiefs are this year. So that'll be interesting. But yeah, we both think the Panthers can go out here and win this one, man. And naturally they'll lose by 30. But
they're 3-6. But I feel like since that week 2 loss, they've improved. They've shown that, like I said, only one game, and that was the Bucks, not a one-score game. No Christian McCaffrey though. Gotta remember, I think he's already been ruled out for this one.
Yeah, so he's supposed to be getting a second opinion from another doctor.
Yeah, which is
on his shoulder.
So
and
that actually
he came back for a week. It was wild.
I'm still going Carolina even without Christian McCaffrey. I think um, I don't know. There's just something about the Bucks that just rubs me the wrong way. Um, when they're off, they're fucking off. And if Carolina can look at that film from last week, see what the Saints did well, their defense is just as good as the Saints, personally, I think. And so give me the Panthers. That is the last of the noon games. We now go to there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. There's six. Oh, it's because of the Masters. This is the part of the show where we talk about the Masters, Ashton. There's a lot of late afternoon games on CBS this coming weekend. Actually, 3 CBS games, 3 Fox games, because the Masters, as we all know, is going on this weekend, and so they don't want to, you know. Wait, is let me see what channels. You hold on.
It's on it's CBS
It is
because
CBS, right?
It's Jim Nance
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, it's on CBS and ESPN. For a second, I
and
thought it was
ESPN
KXA.
and Golf Channel or whatever. So
For a second, I thought it was NBC, so that's on me. Anyways, the first of the afternoon games we want to talk about, Ashton, is probably could be the best game of the weekend, even though we got the Seahawks Rams. There's a couple of really good late afternoon games. But let's talk about the Bills Cardinals first. Buffalo is now 7-2 after beating Seattle. Arizona's 5-3 after losing to Miami. Arizona's at home. How do the Buffalo Bills stop Kyler Murray, who is, I mean, how he not in the race for or like just the conversation for being MVP right now? The things that he's doing on the field is just, it's masterful to watch. You got him going up against Josh Allen, Stephon Diggs, who's going to cover Stephon Diggs. This one could be a great game. It could just be like the Seattle Seahawks game with the Cardinals earlier this
I
season,
was
go
gonna
to
say
overtime.
like you're so the math is like Russell Wilson is far better than Kyler Murray, and like the Cardinals defense isn't as bad as the Seahawks, but like not even close to as bad as the Seahawks defense has been this year. So you have to imagine this game is going to be kind of close, but that's how transitive property works. That's not necessarily how the real world works or anything like that. But it's Patrick Peterson who will be on Stephon Diggs, which I think, although Stephon Diggs does a lot of underneath stuff, so that may not really pan out for him all that well. But this is a bad situation for the Cardinals because Jordan Poyer's been one of the best safeties in the NFL this season, and Tre'Davious White will be on DeAndre Hopkins,
Yeah.
which is probably like, I wish they could just do a solo camera that you can watch on the side of just those two going at it, because Tre'Davious White is just a flat out stand up, like man to man, like corner. It's not like soft zone or anything like that. It is just, he's like, hi, my name's Tre'Davious,
Yep.
and you're not playing football today.
Yeah.
Like you're gonna have your uniform on, you're gonna have your cleats on, you're gonna have your little pregame photos or whatever, but we're not playing football today. You're not, I am. So yeah,
And
that kind of situation.
you got to remember, DeAndre Hopkins is coming off of his worst game of the season. He only had 3 catches for 30 yards last week against Miami. They shut him down. So it's going to be interesting to see kind of like how he bounces back, to see if Kyler like starts forcing the ball to DeAndre.
Love a good game between dual threats, man. This is
Oh yeah.
two dual threat quarterbacks that are on the fringe, right? Like this is a emergence year for Kyler Murray and for Josh Allen. So this should be one of the better matchups of the entire week. I know a lot of people, you wouldn't look at Bills Cardinals and say like, oh man, that should be a good one. It should be, like when it's all said and done, because
Yep.
like once again, that's another win. Like at this point, Martin, like Bills win this one, they're at 8 wins on the season at week 10.
Yep.
That means they got a potential to have like a 12-win season. Like legit potential to have a 12-win season.
I think that this, like what you just said there, says where these two teams have come from to where they are now. Like they are two of the teams that have kind of always drafted in like the top 10, top 15 for the past, let's say, decade maybe. And now they've got their core players in place. Both of them traded for a #1 wide receiver to give their quarterback help. It's going to be, how many times did they mention the fact that D Hop and Stephon Diggs were the 2 wide receivers traded this offseason on the CBS broadcast? That'll be interesting to follow. But also, you're hearing it here first, folks. This could be a Super Bowl matchup.
Yeah,
Just,
you wild,
just,
man.
just putting it out there. Just putting it out there. The Buffaloes have a very easy road to get to where they want to be, and the Cardinals, of course, they're my Super Bowl NFC, the pick to represent the NFC in the Super Bowl. So I've still got to ride or die with that until they're no longer in that scenario. Ashton, give me the Arizona Cardinals to beat the Buffalo Bills this weekend.
Yeah, I'm taking the Bills on this one, man. It's let's be for real. The Bills are the more inconsistent team out of these two because just how life works and Josh Allen and everything like that. But it's hard to not. You know what? Fucking man, I'm going with the Cardinals, man.
Oh,
Forget
he's
that.
talked himself into
No, it's just like
it.
you say inconsistent, and like you look at what they did versus Russell Wilson, and he had a 4 turnover a game, and that's what it took for them to beat the Seahawks by 10.
Yeah.
And in my mind, I'm like, how often is that happening?
Yeah.
Like you know what I mean? So
did they blow
mind.
their load
Anyway,
against the Seahawks as well? Because that's kind of like their, I mean,
that's their signature win this season.
Yeah,
for
exactly.
Sure.
I was literally about to say. I mean, they've beat, or up until this point, it was probably the Rams or Dolphins. But now that they beat the Seahawks by 10, but you also got to remember something to watch out for, everybody listening. The fourth quarter, no matter if it's a blowout or what, or if it's a close game, Arizona in their 3 losses this year, Ashton, have really struggled in the fourth quarter. So that's what I'm going to be paying attention
Yeah,
to.
when you talk about building like legitimately great teams or like legitimately good teams in the NFL, the last thing to come along is usually the ability to finish off opponents. So that makes sense.
Also, if Arizona
But
loses, they're 5-4. So
5-4 look a lot different than 5-3. It's amazing. They're
yeah.
only one number off.
Yep.
They look real different in people's mind. So, but yeah, Seahawks, Rams, the next one here. The Seattle Seahawks trying to get this bounce back win versus, of course, the second best team in the NFC West, man, and the Rams are 5-3 so far on this season. The Seattle Seahawks coming off their worst game of the year. Martin, do you think they're going to repeat it to give the Rams a chance to beat them?
They're they're 1-2 the past 3 weeks. Seattle has really struggled since losing to the Cardinals. I mean, yeah, they beat the 49ers, but that one wasn't even like a convincing win, especially with like how the 49ers were kind of injury depleted at that point. Then they lose to the Bills. The Rams, on the other hand, they're also 1-2 over the past 3 weeks. So something's got to give in this one. The Rams have got the better defense. Who's got the? I think it's going to be the Seattle Seahawks offense versus the Rams defense for sure. That's
My
1-2, like 1A and 1B almost, because I couldn't tell you who's better.
My thing is that I feel like it's going to define this game is that the Seahawks run defense is significantly better than their pass coverage. Mm-hmm. So of course, like Shaquem Griffin, whether he plays or not, it's going to be a big deal. But the run defense, which is the backbone of the Rams' ability to be versatile, so they don't have to depend upon Jared Goff to go out there and win them games. I think the Seahawks can force the Rams into a position where Jared Goff has to win it.
Yeah.
Like and if they have to do that, they lose.
Yeah.
If Jared Goff has to go out there and win you a game versus Russell Wilson in that offense, because they can't run the ball because they're just like I'm not even talking about pressure. Jared Goff is a guy that when that whole like I've talked about it before a billion times when the 3-card Monty trick is not working, where like they're hiding where the ball is going to be able to go, or they're not falling for like the misdirection, which if it's not going to work on any team in the NFL, it's going to be the Seattle Seahawks because they play some of the most important games of their entire season the last couple of years against Sean McVay and his Rams team. So they understand them at such a high level, especially when it comes to the end arounds and running the ball. So I think that's what it comes down to. Jared Goff has to go out there and win in the game, and I don't bank on that happening.
True. If you're going to put, like the Seahawks, they just need to accept the fact that their defense sucks. And if you're going to put a score for score up there with Russell Wilson versus Jared Goff, and you think that Jared Goff is going to hang out and hang around with Russell Wilson, I want some of that weed that you're smoking because that good, like
you got the good shit.
You got that good shit. You know what I'm saying? If you think Jared Goff can keep up with Russell Wilson, especially this season, Ashton, I'm going Seahawks. I believe you're going Seahawks as well.
Yeah, I'm going with the Seahawks on this one, man. It just the logic makes sense to go with the Seahawks, even though considering the Rams are still a very talented team, and this is a divisional matchup, so this game should be close, but we'll see. 49ers Saints.
Oh wait, hold on. Never mind.
Oh my God, you got a different order. No, 49ers
yeah,
Saints.
I realized a second ago I put them in. I'm reading them in a different order than I wrote them. So shout out to Martin for doing that.
49ers Saints. The Saints are 6-2 coming off that big win versus the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. The 49ers, once again, guys, we actually have to in the podcast early so we can go hop on a plane and go play for the San Francisco 49ers. So we are making league minimum, so we're no longer broke boys. You probably won't see us here next Tuesday. So making league minimum, we're going to make $1.8 million this season. Anyway, I think it's 1.8 or 1.4, whatever, minutia. 49ers versus Saints. Martin, do you think they got a chance?
No, I think the Saints handled this one pretty easily, even though I believe Richard Sherman's back, so that'll be interesting. This is the time of the show where I get to tell you about one of my fantasy teams, and everybody loves hearing about each of our own fantasy teams. Ashton, I made another trade this week. So that's 2 trades in 1 week. So last place in my main money league. He has barely won 1 game all season. He's completely out of it, already out of the playoffs. We do keepers in this league, so he put out a distress call saying he will trade anybody on his team for some keepers next year. And so I offered him Antonio Gibson, running back for Washington, and Brandon Ayuk, obviously wide receiver for the 49ers. In
He thinks
return,
those guys are keepers?
well, they're keeper eligible, like because we do 4th round or later, and so both of them were drafted after the 4th round.
Oh, okay.
And they're actually both really solid keepers, especially Brandon Ayuk and Antonio Gibson, to be honest. But so I traded those 2 for Michael Thomas, straight up. Basically trading the 2 keepers that I had left on my team after trading another one for Travis Kelce earlier in the year. So I basically Brandon Ayuk and Antonio Gibson for Michael Thomas. Just quickly before we break down the game, what do you think of that trade?
It's about your fantasy football team. I don't care. It's Tuesday. It's Thursday. Like, if you ask me on Tuesday, I'll actually give
All
you
right,
a legitimate answer.
I'll ask you on Tuesday to give me a breakdown of the Michael Thomas trade. I think the Saints handle this one easily. The 49ers, they just there's a couple of teams we speak about it every Tuesday. They just need to start worrying about where they're going to be drafting in the upcoming NFL draft. The 49ers are one of them. They need to get healthy. The Saints, on the other hand, are just about healthy across the board. Give me New Orleans.
There you go. Yeah, we're both going with the Saints. Pretty easy one on that one. Oh, look at another easy one. Steelers versus Bengals. Although the Bengals technically have the better quarterback in this matchup, many could argue, the Steelers are the far better team.
Yeah,
so I'll be taking the Bengals.
Yeah, the Steelers seem
I'll
to
be taking
playing...
the Bengals.
You are?
Yep, I'll take the. Yep.
Yeah, I was gonna say the Steelers have been playing down to their competition.
I'll take the Bengals
all season. Except for when they play in their conference. They've won all their conference games so far. I still can't figure out if Ashton's joking or not that he's taking the Bengals.
No, I literally clicked it in my app already. Like, I'm not joking.
All right, he's going.
Sometimes, I mean, Martin, the heart and soul of why people love the NFL so very much is chaos. Anybody can beat anybody.
Yeah.
Just like the Bengals can beat the Steelers.
All right, I'm going Steelers because I don't see. Yeah, Joe Burrow's been playing nice, but the Bengals defense, they're a little lackluster. They're not the
not
the best.
No, they're bad. It doesn't see like my pick. This is the pick that doesn't make sense. That's why I didn't give you an actual legitimate explanation as to why they're going to do it. They're going to do it though.
It's like what I can't remember which team I did that with a couple weeks ago, and you were like that. You have I literally gave no basis as why I do. I was like, I need an upset. I need an upset of one of the teams, one of the games this upcoming week. So.
Oh no,
that was my upset.
This one spoke to me when I saw it, and I was like, what would send the Joe Exotic hype that we all have to the stratosphere? Beating the only undefeated team in the NFL.
Yeah. Hey.
There we go. Also, by the way, I think this is the by numbers, not necessarily by like reality, because we can talk about the Steelers competition and how they've played their competition. But this is the best Steelers team ever. Like, no Steelers team has made it further than 7-0.
Yeah, 8-0 for the first time in team history, which is impressive to say the least. And I agree. I don't think this is anywhere near the best Steelers team ever. Ashton, next on the list, I believe, is the Denver Broncos traveling to Las Vegas to take on the Raiders. We got two late afternoon games. Sorry, I'm all out of sorts.
No, no,
Because
no.
I
I
accidentally
thought you were
clicked
gonna.
on.
I thought in my brain, I thought you said Chargers, and I was like, what?
No,
Why would he say the Raiders?
well,
So yeah,
it's also confusing because I accidentally clicked on this game because if you're on the ESPN app, it's right underneath the Buffalo Bills Arizona Cardinals game, and I accidentally clicked on it. So I was like, wait, did we already do this one? Anyways, this one kind of easy. The Broncos are not as good as the Las Vegas Raiders. Um, at least I think I don't. The Broncos haven't really proved
what?
to me that
So Martin, what do you think about the Raiders?
they're the one team that I cannot fucking figure out, except I think that they are better than the Broncos. that, that's about it. The I mean, I've kind of wavered away. I'm trying to not do the whole common opponent thing as much anymore since,
The math failed you,
yeah,
like we all knew it would.
no, I'm not going to admit to it, but the Broncos only beat the Chargers by 1. The Raiders beat them by 5. So I think they might have a couple more common opponents.
And also your common opponent is the Chargers, so we're not gonna address that.
Well, if we want to keep going, common opponent, the Raiders lost 36-20 to the Patriots, where the Broncos beat the Patriots by only kicking field goals. Have they both played the Chiefs? Yeah, they have. The Raiders beat the Chiefs 40-32. The Broncos lost to the Chiefs 43-16. Nothing fucking makes sense. The Raiders are the hardest team to figure out, except I just think they're
Welcome to
better.
the Twilight Zone, everyone.
I just think
No,
the
no.
Raiders are
Hey,
better.
at least we're being honest about how we don't understand the Raiders. Nothing about this team makes sense. If you understand the Raiders and you can educate me, a dummy, about football as to how they are 5-3 and a playoff contender, please hit me up on Twitter at FB_playbook. I need to know because we're getting to a point where it's embarrassing for me that I don't understand why the Raiders are good and bad at the same time. Um, so somebody help, please.
Yeah, they've beaten 3 teams that Ashley and I think are pretty good, and the Panthers, Saints, and Chiefs, and then they lose to like the Patriots. They lost to the Bills and they lost to the Buccaneers. They are so hard to figure out that I wouldn't be surprised if fucking the Denver Broncos win this game because it's
That's what I'm saying. Like that's what makes me think. You know what?
he's gonna do
It's
it.
a divisional game. Give me the Broncos.
All right, give me the Raiders. One more late afternoon kickoff game, Ashton. This one
And by
is
the way, after this one happens, Martin, we can never discuss who the better quarterback in this matchup is
yep.
as you're about to introduce Chargers versus Dolphins. We will never discuss after because that's how this works. Everybody is on the same exact football team except everybody has a different quarterback. So they're all playing with the same exact chips in the same exact situation under the same context. No injuries exist. No coaching has any influence on whether the game is won or lost by any team. But after this game is over with, we're going to know who the better of the two quarterbacks were out of this past draft. Was it Justin Herbert or was it Tua Tagovailoa?
Yeah, it's going to be one of those ones that just. I mean, how often do you think Miami and the Dolphins and Chargers are going to play each other throughout their careers? I mean,
I'm just saying, Martin's probably going to go with the Dolphins because they're rocking the old schools. They're
oh,
rocking the throwbacks.
I ain't betting against the throwbacks. I ain't betting against the fact that Miami is on a 4-game winning streak, whereas the Chargers don't know how to fucking win a game as long as they're not playing the Jaguars and Bengals. Um,
Yeah,
Also, I'm
Yep,
going to tell it right now. I'm looking forward to making the clip. The Chargers are going to be up by like 14 points going into the fourth quarter. Tua is going to take the team down on multiple drives, and they're going to win by like 3 points in the end. Also, congratulations to Ashton and I for not making the Tua and O joke that
Oh,
everybody has made since Tua went to 2-0. We refrained from doing it. I
yeah, because
It's
I'm not
cringe.
like
It's fucking cringe.
we're not corny like you fucking dweebs, man. God
Yeah.
damn.
Give
Like
me the
we're
Dolphins in
nerds,
this
but
one.
like we're nerds, but you guys are dweebs,
Yeah,
bro. Like,
the amount of
gosh.
like, dude, I swear they beat the Cardinals and I got on Twitter, I swear I saw at least 10 different sports personalities make the 2-0 joke, and I was just like, bro, come on. It's
You're
so
better than that. Or at least I
it's such
thought
a
you.
it's an easy corny thing to say. I get it, but at the same time, it's like, bro, You don't have to.
Keep
You don't.
your day
You
job.
don't have to go there. I'm going Dolphins on this one. I think they go to 6-3 and they continue to challenge Buffalo for first place in the AFC East.
Yeah, I can't pick the Chargers until they show me
Yeah, I
that
can't.
they're gonna do something different in the second half. By the
Exactly.
way, that's what's been happening with the Chargers. I've all but confirmed it. I've done way too much of the like looking into the Chargers, all 22 guys and everything like that. It's literally the Chargers played the same game that they played in the first half that they do in the second half. So like the same,
Yeah, they don't
they have the same
adjust.
game plan from the first, second, third, and fourth quarter. They don't change anything. That's why. That's why they're losing these games because literally teams are adjusting at halftime
Yep.
and cooking them. Anyway,
Like, what's happening in that 15 minutes in the locker room? Like, are they just fucking like sipping on some
everybody's
tea? Like,
everybody's meditating.
yeah.
Everybody's
Oh yeah, it
get
is Los
zen,
Angeles. They're getting in
get
that
zen.
California state of mind, like just.
Martin, that's actually a great question as to what's happening in that 15 minutes
Yeah.
in the locker room because it ain't good.
Nope.
Whatever it is.
Not at all. Sunday Night Football should be a good game, I guess. The Baltimore Ravens heading up to Foxborough to take on the Patriots. Patriots coming off of that tough victory over the New
Snow
York
game?
Jets.
Snow game?
Oh, is it snowing?
Is it?
I don't know.
Is it cold enough? It's
I can
November.
look it up. Is it gonna be
Anyway,
snowing? Is it? Nope. It's gonna be 56 degrees and partly cloudy.
wow, that's perfect football weather.
Yep.
Too
Anything
bad
from
it's at
like
night.
50 to 75 for me is like perfect football weather. But if you ask people from like the north, it's like 30 to 50.
Yeah, you say 50 because like when your body heats up, you still feel like a normal person as opposed to a person who's overheating.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, Ravens Patriots on this one, man. This is basically the Spider-Man meme.
Yeah.
Spider-Man pointing at Spider-Man.
Cam
But
Newton and Lamar.
yeah, Cam Newton, Lamar, and the way that the team's been playing, really, to be honest, a rotation of three running backs with a dual threat quarterback, where the quarterback has been leading the team in rush yards significantly. Um, the only difference is that the Patriots have tight ends that they can actually depend upon. The wide receiver position's pretty similar for the Patriots and the Ravens. Defensively, they're obviously on different planes, but offensively, they're basically the same team.
Yeah. The Ravens got the best unit in this one by far. It's not even fucking close. The defense, if I mean, I could see a world where New England doesn't score a point in this game.
Now, Martin, I ask you this question: perks of not having one number one receiver. You don't know who you need to shut down.
That's true.
Everybody's just as important as the next guy.
Hey, that's the Patriots motto, isn't it? Like,
everybody just do your job. Just do your job,
do your
and
job.
maybe we'll have a chance.
Maybe the Patriots will be able to figure out every single play that the Ravens are running, since that's what Lamar Jackson is saying is he's not saying it. I'm saying he's using that as an excuse for being figured out. I'm picking the Ravens on Sunday Night Football, Ashton. Do you see any chance that the Patriots win this game?
Oh yeah, Bill Belichick probably knows. Bill Belichick knows not like it's not like whether it's a pass or a run type situation. He knows what the play is. So at some point, that's got to help, right?
Yeah.
That's got to be useful in some way. This game should be close, but the offensive pace that the Ravens set should not be something that the Patriots can actually keep up with.
I mean, this game could be like 9-3 at the end of it because each team only gets 4 possessions in the game. Like the time of possession and like the number of drives in this game, like could be less than like.
What are they going to do if
10.
What are they going to do if Lamar doesn't turn the ball over, Martin?
Yeah, that's true.
Like, what are they going to like? Do you
Force
think that would
punt?
mean that they had to? That means they would have to beat them straight up, and I don't think they're. If they would have to get like a 3 turnover game, in my opinion.
Yep.
Which would come from pressure, which they don't have this year. They're not generating pressure this year. Mm-hmm. Anyway, yeah, I go with the Ravens on that one, just like off the pure fact that they have more talent. And in the NFL, that pans out a lot more than usual. But Bill Belichick has got to be worth a couple of points. He's got to be worth at least keeping the game close. And it's on Sunday Night Football, so it should naturally come down to the wire like it did last weekend.
Monday Night Football, Ashton, the Minnesota Vikings and the Chicago Bears. I refuse to believe that the Bears are 5-4. I think the Vikings are the better team. We're not going to talk about who's going to win this one. We're going to talk about how many touchdowns do you think Dalvin Cook is going to get against the good Bears defense? Is he going to continue this whole march that he's on?
unstoppable wave versus immovable object. Bears defense versus Dalvin Cook.
Yeah.
Interesting.
It's
And the line, like what happened last week is because the Lions defense is pretty bad. So you have to imagine it's going to be like they're going to have to do a lot more than they did last week, and they're not going to have the open passes.
mm-hmm.
Oh wow, did I just talk myself into the Bears winning this game versus the Vikings?
Maybe it's Kirk Cousins versus Nick Foles. So who knows how? Here's the thing to pay attention to. How does Dalvin Cook do against that defense? How many times does Kirk Cousins throw that ball? If he throws it more than 15 to 20 times, I think the Bears are winning. Um, if not, then how? Like here the I don't know. I'm also
The
talking
great
myself into the Bears, aren't I?
no, because I'm sitting here thinking, but of course the natural question that you're thinking about and what's making you hesitate is like, how are they going to generate any points on offense? And that is a question because they played Martin. They played the Tennessee Titans and they scored under 20 points.
Yeah.
So they're not gonna. No, it's the Vikings. The Vikings have the ability to buy enough time and enough stops for the Minnesota Vikings offense to get back on track, to get points on the board. So I'll take the Vikings off talent and off of faith in the Vikings defense to buy the time that the Vikings need to figure out how to score on the Bears' crazy good defense.
Yeah, the Bears are actually on a 3-game losing streak, so the numbers say I don't know. I'm not picking the Bears. I cannot in good faith pick Matt Nagy's offensive system to win football games because it is fucking garbage. Give me the Minnesota Vikings. I'm going to put my tiebreaker score at like 17-13. Close game, not very exciting. I'll still tune in and watch. That's our NFL Week 10 breakdown, Ashton. We got one last thing to do, and it's what we do each and every week on this show because the UFC has been able to continue to put on fights each and every week during the quarantine while other sports were broken down. This weekend we got to if you've been watching and listening to the UFC on ESPN, you'll know this name because you've been hearing him break down just a lot of the fights this year. It's
I hope
Paul
he get knocked.
Felder.
I hope he gets his ass beat too.
Really? You don't like Paul Felder?
Yeah, he pissed me off with the Herb Dean thing earlier this year when he was like yelling at Herb Dean about how he needs to stop the fight. He yelled "stop the fight" into the microphone,
Yeah.
and Herb Dean thought like the head doctor had said "stop the fight" while the dude was getting knocked, like he was getting punched. The guy was in a fight, and he's trying to get the guy to stop the fight. One punch into his process of being knocked out or his process of taking the TKO punches, and he's just like, you're a bad rep because you saw him take one punch and then didn't stop the fight. It's almost like he gave a fighter a chance to be able to go out there and fight his way back into a fight. Like, that's so stupid. Ever since then, dude, I was pretty pissed off about it. Dana came out and said some BS, which, he said some BS about like if anybody ever interferes with a fight while it's going on in terms of like production or whatever, they'll never work in the UFC again. And it was because of what Paul Felder did, because he left his broadcast booth to go yell.
Oh yeah, I remember that now. Yeah.
And I was like, you're so unprofessional on so many levels. And he said, you do your job and I'll do mine. And I'm like, you have to be kidding me right now. You like anyway, man. And of all people to go at that we in terms of the officiating you've seen this year, Martin, of all the people to go at being Herb Dean. They literally had a fight last week because the ref gave a bad call during a bout where a dude he thought was knocked out was not actually knocked out. Like, come on, man. Like, that's whatever.
Let's get into some fights. We're talking about Paul Felder because he is actually in the main event. He's stepping in because I can't think of Rafael dos Santos who the other opponent was, but Felder's stepping in on short notice to take the fight. It's interesting just because he's kind of been a commentator all year and now he's taking a main event fight.
He's been training and stuff on his own. He's actually gone to Fight Island too. So
yeah, he was a trainer at one point this year. Anyways, let's start from the bottom. Who give me some nicknames to pick.
We got a heavyweight bout to start off this card, so that's always a good sign. I'm always a big fan of that. 15-6. This guy does not have a nickname. His name is Roque Martinez. He is from Guam, though.
Mm-hmm.
Don't see too many MMA fighters from Guam. But his opponent, 6'6", absolute giant, 262 pounds. His belly button looks like he has a tattoo of a goatee around it. So his name is Dontel Kong Mays.
Okay, not bad.
Not King Kong, just Kong.
Just Kong. Yeah.
Which, if you know, later on they actually changed. Our version of King Kong most recently was just called Kong. He was never called King Kong. Geraldo, the Spartan de Freitas Jr.
Okay.
is the fighter here. He's from Brazil. He is 12-5, 5 submissions. The Spartan. He's fighting a guy named Tony Gravely, which is an all-time fighter name there. He's from Radford as well, which is interesting. But yeah, his name is Tony Gravely, like the word to describe the sound of somebody's voice. Kanako Murata is from Japan. She does not have a nickname. She's also 11-1, so keep an eye out for her on that one.
Okay.
In that fight, this is her opponent though, from Windsor, Ontario, Canada. She's from Michigan, top team. She is 10-9. She has 0 TKOs, Martin. It's either submission or decision for her. She's also never been knocked out. Her name is Rhonda Quiet Storm Marcos.
I think I picked her at one point this year, and she let me down.
She's 10-9. Yeah, she's 10-9 so far this season.
And also, I'm not picking against a fighter that's 11-1 and on a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 fight win streak. Yeah. Sorry.
So she lost to Mackenzie Dern. I doubt you would have picked her against Mackenzie.
Yeah, and Amanda. I'm looking at her thing right now. And Amanda Rebus. That's
Amanda Rebus. Yeah. She beat Yoder though. She beat Ashley Yoder, who at one point was like a title contender. And she lost to Claudia Gadelha. So
yeah,
not a fan. Yeah, not about it. She's beaten some good fighters. She's lost to some good ones as well. So that life.
Quiet Storm is an interesting nickname though.
You might have to get the translator out for this one, unless you know this one off the top of your head. Jose Alberto El Teco. Quinones.
Let's see.
He is from Mexico. I cannot pronounce the city he is from in Mexico, and I apologize. It's Tlaxcala.
Apparently, Teco means drunk.
Oh, drunken boxing. I love. What is it? It's Jackie Chan's like one of his greatest movies. Is Drunken Boxing. I think it is.
So
it's
the drunk.
Style of film.
That's apparently what is.
His last loss was to your boy Sugar.
Oh yeah.
Who apparently has a kid on the way. So
yeah, you saw that. Shout out to him and his girlfriend. Also, people were kind of making fun of like the announcement and like the raw dog.
Right. There's a dude named Brandon. There's an MMA fighter named Brandon Raw Dog Royval, and that's his nickname, Raw Dog. And he took it and he said Sean Raw Dog O'Malley as his new nickname. So yeah,
it was a good one. Like you got to give it to him.
Yeah, no, it was pretty funny. Hopefully, Sugar took it that way as well. This guy's from Waipu, Hawaii, which is one of the smaller islands, if I'm not mistaken. He's 16-7. His nickname, Martin Luis the Last Samurai Smolka.
The Last Samurai.
The Last Samurai.
Yeah.
The Last DA. That's his nickname. So keeping it moving there. Oh, this is the guy who got dominated by your boy. This is it's Rice Skeletor McKee, who was the opponent for
Kamzat.
the Chechen Wolf.
Yeah.
Kamzat Chimaev.
Is he the one that didn't land a punch?
Strikes.
Yeah.
He still has yet to land a strike in the UFC or throw a strike in the UFC because his first fight he did not get one off. He is going. He is from Ireland, from Northern Ireland. And Skeletor is his nickname. He's got the dope like eagle chest tattoo going on there.
Yeah.
And his opponent is Alex the Great White Morano, who is from H-Town. Hold it down, baby.
H-Town, hold it down. Let's get H-Town sports back on a good trajectory. Hopefully he doesn't let us down.
Trevin won.
Yeah,
Trevin
he did.
Giles won. He did. H-Town, hold it down. Trevin Giles was also apparently a member of HPD. Wish I had known that beforehand. But yeah, he fights out of Fortis MMA. His location, not his birth, not his hometown. H-Town, hold it down. Alex the Great White Morano. Wonder if he was on the Blitz this week. Probably not. Moving on.
Frosty
next
here?
fight
Frosty,
there's a couple of ladies.
Frosty listens to the Blitz. Or he used to. I don't know if he still does.
Sometimes too. Everett, Washington. She's from Everett, Washington. She's 7-1, Martin, so she's pretty good. She got 5 submissions. Her name is Miranda Danger Granger.
Nice.
Yeah,
Good
yeah.
one. It's going to be tough for her opponent to beat that.
Well, her opponent is Ashley the Spider Monkey Yoder.
Oh,
She's
nice.
pretty good.
Hell
She's
yeah.
pretty
Good one.
7-6. She is currently on a 2-fight losing streak. She lost to Lavani Souza and Randa Marcos. Her last 2 wins against opponents that I've
Wasn't
never
somebody
heard.
we picked recently also like not the Spider Monkey, but Spider Monkey?
This is the same one. She fought earlier
Oh,
this year.
okay.
Yeah. Hold on, let me see. Her last fight was August 15th. It was
Okay.
early in quarantine.
Sorry, I'm picking.
Yes,
I'm
we
picking
picked her
Miranda.
once. I remember making that graphic, so we've already picked her. But the next guy, we've already had him on the show too. We've already talked about him, but I don't think you've picked him. He's 21-3. Sean Tarzan Strickland.
This is the fight we were supposed to be last week, but then it got pushed to this one. Because remember, I picked Brandon All-In Allen, and then
yeah, you're right. Yeah, he is fighting this week. His opponent is Brandon All-In Allen from Milwaukee,
I picked
Wisconsin.
I'm gonna, for consistency factor, since I picked him last week, I'm gonna go ahead and tell you right now. I'm gonna pick Brandon All-In Allen.
Yeah,
that's who I picked, right?
His new opponent is Sean Strickland because it wasn't him last week.
Oh, okay.
Oh, we got a good one here. From Birmingham, Alabama. He fights out of Spartan Fitness, 13-5 in his career, 8 TKOs. It's Eric, your boy, Anders. That's his nickname, your boy. I like it.
Yeah, boy.
I can't really think of anything, but his opponent, mysterious and very dramatic in his photos. From Brazil, does not have a nickname. It's Antonio Arroyo.
Yeah.
9-3. He's got the double R on the Arroyo. So 9-3 is his opponent. Next up, Corey the Hobbit or Poppins McKenna is her name because she is 5'3".
Oh, she's got 2 nicknames.
Yeah, she's either the Hobbit or Poppins. I'm assuming Mary Poppins. Corey the Hobbit Poppins McKenna. It's the way we'll go with that, I guess. We'll look it up afterwards. But she's from Colchester, Essex, England.
She's from England.
Yeah, she's 5-1.
She's an Essex lass. For the few people that know about Essex, that's a joke.
Does that make will she be under the dominion of the Duchess of Sussex? No.
Probably.
Okay, I don't know.
Honestly, they don't.
They're not.
That's
they're
all.
not. They're not.
It's a
they're
name.
not royalty anymore. Hey, you say it's in the name, but it's also like access to infinite money. So, not many people can say that. Kay Hansen is her opponent. She's from Whittier, California. She's a 10th Planet Jiu-Jitsu lady, which means that she trains with one Edge Bravo.
Okay.
If you listener to the Joe Rogan podcast, you know exactly who that is. Oh wow.
Good luck.
Yep. It doesn't matter. Next fight, it doesn't matter. This guy's name is Saparbek Sarfov. Let's go there.
Saparbek?
Saparbek Safrov. Let's go. Saparbek Safrov. He's 9-3. He's from Legion Fight Team, and he is from. It literally looks like a Greek slur. It looks like Malacca, is what Malakas. But it's probably pronounced Malhakla. He's from Dagestan. That's what I'm trying to
just say the Dagestan part.
He's from Dagestan. He is fighting an opponent, Julian. Oh my God. Martin, I've never wanted you to pick against a Dagestan fighter more than I want you to pick against one now.
What is it? Come on.
His opponent is from Kansas City, Missouri.
Okay.
Syndicate MMA. He's 7-2. His name is Julian. His name is Julian the Cuban Missile Crisis Marquez.
Oh my God, that's amazing. But why is he? He's from Kansas City. His family must be from Cuba.
If you know anything about the Cuban Missile Crisis, there's a couple other countries that were involved with that too. So maybe that's what it is. I have to look up why that's his name. He's a former Bellator fighter as well, so he's pretty good. And looks like he also used to fight in Glory MMA, so that's pretty good as well. Moving on, this is the co-main or the penultimate of the card here. Wow. All right, this is a strong one. Kaylin Chaos the Ox Fighter Williams.
Wait,
You got to
Okay.
look that up. Yeah, look that one up. Khaos. The Ox Fighter Williams. Chaos. He's from Lansing, Michigan too. That's a people of the earth, people salt of the earth people, I guess is the term of the phrase there. But he's 10-1 in his MMA career. So, and it's also across the front of his shorts, like the chaos part.
Yeah.
So, Chaos, the Ox Fighter Williams. Anything there? No.
I'm searching right now. Hold on. Chaos, the Ox Fighter. Let's see.
And I'll get working on. Oh wow, yo, these ones that I'm seeing here, man, these are pretty impressive nicknames. That's all I'm saying. Oh, this guy's from Arlington.
Nice.
Next guy's from Arlington. His opponent, his name is Abdul Judo Thunder, Razik Al Hassan. Judo Thunder is the nickname.
Okay.
From Arlington, Texas, out of Fortis MMA, which is where the other guy we mentioned earlier from Houston also fights out of. 10-2 in his career. 100% of his wins have been by knockout. He has beaten Nico Price, which is a pretty familiar name. He also this is a really weird one. He fought the same dude twice within the span of less than 2 months.
Really?
He fought Sabah Homasi January 20th, 2018. Then he fought him December 2nd, 2017. You don't see that too often. He's beaten Charlie Ward. That's a name that I know. Everybody else I've never heard of. Anyway, yeah, that's Judo Thunder. And then we move on to the main event here.
I can't find anything on. I think you just like spelling chaos that way.
Okay. Paul, the Irish Dragon Felder from Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. He's a Rufus sport fighter, if you know any origins of that. Don't have time to explain it. 17-5, 10 TKOs. He's got 4 decisions, 1 TKO loss. I'm sorry, he's got 4 decision losses, 1 TKO loss. He's also got 10 knockouts, 6 decisions, and 1 submission.
Okay.
For Paul Felder, his last fight, he lost to Dan Hooker, who's a really good fighter. He beat Edson Barbosa, beat James Vick. He's lost to Mike Platinum Perry. If you know who Mike Perry is, he's an interesting fellow. He's also beaten Charles Oliveira, who had to get taken to the hospital last week after his fight because he collapsed or something like that.
I was reading about that.
Yeah, it was pretty dangerous. Whatever, I think it was like his neck is what happened. He's also lost to Francisco Trinaldo, who's a very good fighter as well. He hits hard as fuck. But yeah, that's Paul the Irish Dragon Felder. His opponent is just Rafael dos Anjos.
Yep.
Dos Anjos.
Famous name in the UFC business. He's been doing it forever. He's got that famous mustache that he likes to rock. I've never really been a fan of him though. I feel like he's one of those fighters that he will literally fight anybody at any time.
Just to give you an idea of look at this. So he's 1-4 in his last 5 fights, but his opponents are Michael Chiesa, Leon Edwards, title contender Leon Edwards. He beat Kevin Lee. He lost to Kamaru Usman, and that's the current champion, and he lost to Kobe Covington. So he loses to like the best of the best out here. His last 3 that he's won, he beat Kevin Lee, but before that he beat Robbie Lawler, Neil Magny, and Tarek Safini. I have no idea who that is, but I know Neil Magny and Robbie Lawler based off of like just being a fan. He's very good. He lost to Tony Ferguson by unanimous decision. Like he's always in big fights. That's what he's been. That's what he's done his entire career. And this is just another main event for him.
Yeah. All right, Ashton, I got 5 for you. I've actually liked a lot of the nicknames on this card. We've got, I think when I counted before I broke it down to 5, we had 10 different nicknames that I liked. But we've got to break it down. We got to get out of here. We were aiming for under 2.5. We got 3 minutes to get there. I'm going Miranda Danger Granger, Corey the Hobbit / Poppins, either or. I will take that nickname, Corey Poppins McKenna or Corey the Hobbit McKenna. I've got to represent for my English women when they get on the card with a good nickname. All right, Ashton, I'm doing it. We're betting against somebody from Dagestan because Julian, the Cuban Missile Crisis Marquez, is too good of a nickname to pass up. Like,
So about Julian, and I swear to God, my phone must be fucking listening to our conversation because the Athletic just pushed an article to me that was like Julian Marquez back after a 2-year hiatus from MMA.
okay, so maybe I shouldn't pick him, but we're still going.
No, you should. No, no, no. This is about picking the best nickname, and
Yes,
let's be
picking the
honest, he might have the best one on the entire card.
yeah,
'Cause
for sure. In the co-main event, both of them got great nicknames. However, you told me that Kalen Williams is from what, Michigan or Wisconsin or something like that. So that's where he gets his ox fighter because everybody knows Paul Bunyan. Um, give me
And
Kalen.
then on top of that, he also just goes by Chaos.
Yeah,
Like everything is written. He doesn't go by Kalen. His like everything is Chaos on like his branding. Every like when you look
yep.
up his profile, his legal name is Kalen, but everything is Chaos written. He even had it in the photos that I saw for before this fight. It says Chaos across the front of his shorts, and that's what his Twitter name is too. So
Okay, so we're
have to look into that a little bit more though.
you can't do that much. Like, you can't go all in on your name like that and lose a fight. So give me Kalen Chaos, the Oxfighter Williams, and then in the main event, of course, only one nickname, and I'd probably still pick Paul, even if it would depend on what
Paul's a
Raphael's
real good
nickname.
fighter. There's no doubt about that.
Give me Paul, the Irish Dragon Felder, to make it 5. Ashton, we've got one thing left to do, and that's for you to take us out. Thanks, everybody, for tuning in. I'll give a quick rundown before you do that. What's popping today was cancellations in sports in the H-Town Meltdown. Best of the best. The Bills donating money to the Buffalo Children's Hospital. Bills fans donating money to the Buffalo Children's Hospital. Jared Allen building accessible homes for wounded warriors. Thank you to all the veterans out there on both sides, all over the world for fighting what you believe in. But thank you for the ones that do it for where we call home. Worst of the worst, Texans firing Amy Palchich for absolutely no fucking reason and saying that it wasn't a culture fit. Also, the Dodgers continue to have positive tests after Justin Turner went out on the field without a mask on after testing positive. About a week ago, we talked about the NBA and when their season starts. And then, of course, we did our NFL Week 10 picks. Go ahead and follow Ashton on the Twitters at FB_playbook. You can also follow the show at BrokeBoyPod. You can follow me at MartynPape_. Ashton, take us out.
Yo, shout out to Bamfius. He hopped in the chat and interacted with us during the UFC breakdowns because we were both distracted by the nicknames. And he also said it is just Chaos. It is Chaos Williams is what he goes by. So, hey, that's a strong name. Anyway, ladies and gentlemen, lean in. Everybody.
Yeah, sorry about that, Bamfius. I didn't have the chat open. So he said, do you want to talk about his question real quick? He said, if y'all talked about the new replay rules in the UFC. No, we did not.
It's been there for a while. They've been working on that, and it's kind of dumb. And at some point, it's going to cost somebody a fight. That's all I have to say on that. They tried to use it, and I think it's going to cost somebody a win at some point.
Oh, is it the thing where there's like a little? They'll put the little what's it called? Like a little light when they want something to be
the challenge light.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, it's like it has like different parameters for how it gets triggered, and it could cost people points.
This website I'm looking at says the fight can be restarted at any point.
Yes. Yeah. That's
so even if a dude's like,
it.
Okay, that's weird. We'll talk about that more on next Thursday. We'll try and talk about that more. We'll try and talk about it on Twitter. I'll go look.
I have a strange feeling it's going to come into play this weekend, so we'll see.
Okay, I'm gonna take a look into that. Thanks, Bamfius, for stopping by. Replay, the light goes on, the ref goes and checks, and the fight can be restarted after. Oh, that's weird.
Yeah. So.
Oh, apparently we can't. We can't. Well, I think he was calling us out for picking Chaos since it's Colby Chaos Covington. However, they don't spell it the same.
Yeah, no, and Oxfighter is the nickname.
Yeah, we're going.
No, that's
yeah.
That's a ruling by the nickname officials.
Yep.
That's clear. That pick is clear. It's not a foul. If you don't know, the rules are we can't pick a fighter who has the same nickname as a more famous fighter unless they are the most famous fighter with that nickname. On that note, everybody lean in. We gotta talk this. We gotta talk about this, guys. Cases are going up. I need you to do something for me. I need you to wash your hands. Wash your ass. Really, honestly, like wash your whole body. I don't know why we're even still. I've been saying wash your whole body for weeks now. I don't understand why you guys don't do that. Please do it all the time, more often. Use soap that's good for your skin. If you're the dudes out there, make sure you're shampooing yourself as well. Keep them germs off your body. Other than that, the most important thing you can do is stay home, Roger.